What's up? What's up? What's up, good people? Welcome back to the show. Welcome back to the show. We are back in the building, back in here, making it happen. Come on in. Make sure you hit the like button as you make it in here, whether you're catching it right now live or whether you're catching it after it's uploaded. Make sure you hit the like button. Let's get ready to go. Let's get it.
Peace, folks. This is X from TPOT Media. Open your mind and wake your black ass up. You know what time it is. Hit that damn like button as you make your way in the door. Grab a seat, settle in, get ready. It's the Grown Man Hour with your host, my man, Bernard Riley.
Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Mumia H.E.N.R.Y. You know who I am. I need no introduction, right? And you're listening to the Grown Man Hour with my man Bernard Riley, heard weekdays right here on YouTube. What do you think about that? How about that? Now let's get back on with the show. Thank you.
All right. I don't know how that was off camera like that. Welcome to the show, everybody. Shout out to everybody in the building. Shout out to those that make it in bright and early. Drop a like or a comment right before we even get things started. There's 28 people in here, 30 people in here, actually, from what I can see. Make sure you hit the like button. Shout out to H.E.N.R.Y in the building, DJ Nav, Deacon Dave, Excalibur, Cool Kamazi, and Manny Mayweather. Back when Manny Pacquiao and Floyd Mayweather had their little back and forth thing going, that would have been a good YouTube name, Manny Mayweather. Now it's a little dated. You change it to Deontay Fury or something. All right, let's get the show going. Let's get the show started. Bring in, I can't even call him a guest because he's co-host on the Sunday show, but shout out to Ike Ogiamian in the building.
Hey, what's up, Bernard? How's your Sunday going?
Going wonderful, waiting on my coffee, man. Your setup is looking more and more extravagant every time I see it. It seems like you just add a different light. I don't know if the curtains or the drapes are different back there. Are they just glowing today? I don't know what you did. It's looking better and better every time I blink.
Yeah, thank you. I'm just kind of perfecting the smoke and mirrors over here.
Yeah, man, it's looking good back there. It's looking good back there.
Thank you.
But without further ado, and I still, to some degree, feel weird saying that this next brother is a guest because my got an immense amount of respect for Brother Xavier. He always got to
wake your black ass up.
Can't call him a guest, he's you hear him here every day on the intro, but for lack of a better word, the special featured guest man of the hour today, brother Xavier in the building. What's going on?
Peace, peace. Good morning, brother Bernard, brother Ike. Man, I gotta say this before we even get started. Let's just do this right now. People talk about the suit wearing of brother Samuels, but I think right now I'm probably up here with the two sharpest dressing goddamn brothers, man. Y'all be killing it, man. And that goddamn Ike boy.
Yeah, that's yeah.
That goddamn Ike boy be sharp as hell up here, boy. I'm taking notes, Ike, and I'm copying them damn ties too. But anyway,
I gotta up my tie game. I'm slacking on the tie. I very rarely wear ties. I might up my tie game, but I didn't want to. I was like, I don't want to be too buttoned up because I want to hear people say, "Oh, you just trying to be like Kevin Samuels." So I try to go a little more casual. Try to go a little more casual with the suits, but I might. Ike about to make me up my not just my tie game, but my little handkerchief game. Get all that. Because he got the little matching cloth in the pocket.
Yeah,
I got to get all that together.
Brother Ike be killing it.
Prince gave. I think Prince pushed the boundary in terms of like gave everybody permission to do whatever it is you want to do to look as fly as in your way as you want to look, and screw the detractors or whatever.
Right on. So somebody got to come with some Cam Newton suits, and then there's something really going on. Rock old Cam Newton suit, but shout out to everybody.
Welcome, brother Xavier, as you were saying, and thank you. I just want for the compliment there. But anyways,
yeah, absolutely. So let's get into this thing now. Me and X, we've done some talking about he's running a business, and the first thing that jumped out to me that made me say, I really got to pick his brain, in long format style about this someday. I remember you said that you got a crew, during the busy season, you got 10 people hired, 10 to 12 people working for you. Pretty much, I don't know if you said all black men or pretty much all black men, all black men. And you said you don't even care. You said they some of them have came into the interviews talking about some, hey, I want you to know I got a criminal record. He's like, I don't care nothing about that. Do you know your way around a toolbox? Can you show your black ass up at 7 a.m. and do some work? And I just that touched my heart a little bit because I like to see brothers building vertical businesses and employing brothers. So that's why this conversation is always specifically interesting to me. But I know with Ike here, Ike like to go down to the floor and really pick your brain about what started it, what caused it. How did you go from I suppose a mechanical engineer, if I got it right, a mechanical engineer by trade, because you went to school to learn that, correct?
I started out as a mechanical engineering technician. That's where it started.
Okay.
Doing the engineering came later on. Because I have a AAS, and I'm pretty sure Brother Ike knows this. The difference between an AS and an AAS is an AS gets you pretty much prepared for like your bachelor's or something. An AAS gets you ready to work right then and there. You know what I'm saying? They're preparing you to go out into the field with an AAS. If you get an AAS, you're probably furthering your education.
That sounds like a 2-year certificate. If I'm reading it
well,
right.
actually, it's 1.1.5. I mean,
okay.
Shit, I finished my degree in a year and a half. So, it's just something like that. It's a little different than like a straight associate's, because, like I said, they're getting you ready to go to work. Not further your education. So, I mean, the designing came later. I started off just, I was working and installing the systems that we now design. So, I started out there. I started from the bottom. I didn't go right into the top. I started from the bottom, man. Started working for other people. So,
right. That's what I wanted to get into. How did you go from, okay, I got this skill, I got this trade, I'm about to expand this to doing my own thing before you even got to the point to where you had a 10-man crew. So, so how did it start out? You got your certificate, you got you had the bare minimum. I know how to do this. I know what I'm doing. I got hired. Like, and then from there, like, what happened from going from working for somebody else to gradually branching off to working for yourself?
Well, when I first started, like I said, I worked for many, many years for other people. When I was in New York, I actually I ran the shop for many, many years. I mean, there was only one person above me, and that's the person who owned it. And I was always used to running a crew of guys. I mean, running a crew of guys was nothing. When you the lead guy, when you the chief guy, you got 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, different guys underneath you. They all report to you. You're the quote unquote big man, at the shop.
Well, hold on. Well, see, now this is interesting. Now you were working for somebody else, but what made you the big man at the shop? Even before you owned the place, it sounded like you were saying you were de facto HNIC.
Well, I've always been mechanically inclined, man. I mean, my father was a landscape architect. He did landscapes, he did hardscapes, and man, I've been out in the field with my old man ever since I was 7 years old, and learned how to work really, really early. I know in the summer times, I remember clearly when I was 7, 8 years old, the old man have you up, 5:30, 5 o'clock in the morning. And you was out there loading up that truck. You was on that truck and you was on that job site. And when things broke down, you were the gopher. Give me that 10 millimeter. Give me that half inch. Give me that crescent wrench. Give me that pipe wrench. So, I became very familiar with tools as a little boy. I mean, as a little boy, I'd be his gopher, running to get the toolbox, running to get the pipe wrench, running to get the screwdriver set, running to get the drill. So I've been around this kind of stuff ever since I was a kid. So, it just came naturally.
So it sounds like even when you were working for other people that you leapfrogged a lot of people in the crew just based off competence. You just knew your stuff. You was that dude. You had experience, and you just leapfrogged everybody to where you were essentially over a crew, even though you were just just another employee just working for somebody else. That sounds about accurate.
Yeah. Well, when you're a blue collar guy, and many blue collar guys knows this. If you come into a field, any field, not just mechanics, whether it be you're an electrician or a plumber and you're working for a company that, has, a pretty good amount of employees, if you're good and you're fast and you're efficient and proficient, the people in the company notice you. And they're like, they come to you and be like, hey, look, man, I like the work you did on this project, blah, blah, blah. And before you know it, you're moving up in the ranks. You move up in the ranks in blue collar work pretty quickly. If you're good at it and you know what you're doing, you move up quickly because people take notice of what you do. They watch you. If you're a guy who's been working for the company 6 months and you're working better than someone who's been there 2 years, people are going to notice that. All right. They're going to notice that. And I was one of those guys because, like I said, man, I mean, I was raised by a blue collar dude. I mean, when I was 9 and 10 years old, man, I would be right underneath the truck, underneath equipment with my old man, helping him fix it when I was a kid. So this stuff wasn't difficult for me. It just wasn't, not to brag or nothing like that. But, I've been around tools, working, blue collar guys like all my life, literally all my life. I've been around this kind of work. So,
All right, I'm gonna pass it to Ike, but I do like what you said there, and it's something me and Ike we've talked about this before. It happens a lot of the times when Black people. It's as if we have this mindset where we think that the amount of time that you've been doing something matters more than the quality of what you've been doing. I used to see this all the time out on the job where somebody who was only there, and there's another Black dude, he was there like 6 months at a job. I was there 2 years. He leapfrogged me. He came in. He was better. He was better. He did it fast. He figured out ways to do things faster, quicker, more efficiently, and he in a very short amount of time. Where I was at after a couple months on the job, he was already there in a couple weeks, and I'm like, dang, this guy's good. So eventually he was, he had a higher up position, and I had to accept that. But everybody else in the shop was just, oh, he haven't been here that long. Why they giving him favoritism? I'm like, no, he's good. He's good. Y'all gotta. So a lot of times we don't understand that. But shout out to Clue in the building with the $5 super chat. Appreciate you coming on through. All right, go ahead, Ike. You got it. What you got so far? What you got so far on this conversation?
Excellent. So, to reiterate a point that was made there about competence, especially so, like Xavier said, I started from the bottom. This thing was easy for me. I was competent. I was used to certain things that taught me both discipline and acumen for the field, right? So, at that, when one talks about what do I leverage, I need skill, I need something to leverage. Basically, competence, if you're coming from the lower rungs of the ladder, is rare and highly desired, right? Like, because you're very important to the operation, and competence is an issue in terms of, like, okay, at that level. And when you see somebody, hey, young buck, that's a good one, that kind of a thing. Like, it's a great thing to kind of get you to leapfrog and all that kind of stuff. So, but basically, when it comes to the question, you mentioned that you run a crew, you are one below the owner, that kind of thing. So, can you talk about the process in your field? By process, I mean everything from client has a problem or a potential problem, and you're trying to reel them in by a diagnosis of the problem, and then an estimation of how much it'll cost them, communication of that somehow, PO, invoicing, while also the project gets done, blah, blah, blah. So all these different processes, and then also how many hats you were wearing. In other words, it's a different way of saying what I'm saying, before you were able to then start hiring people. So the process and the hats that went along with it when you describe the process in terms of roles and responsibilities.
Do you mean when I branched out on my own or as I work for others?
I would say, okay, go for the branch out on your own then, because then you're really wearing all those hats, right?
Oh yeah.
So what were you doing? You were doing all these different functions. Like, just kind of, if you could take us through the process as best you can.
Well, it started when I moved. I moved from New York. The whole time I was in New York, I worked for other people. Ran the business for other people. When I came down to North Carolina, I decided to do it for myself. I mean, it was already a plan while I was in New York. I did the research while I was in New York. What the field looked like, what it took, how much it cost to run an operation in New York, what the competition was like, what the competition was charging. I did all of that while I was in New York before I even got down here. I made the phone calls, I did the research, I talked to, many folks. And when I came down here, I started with nothing, man. I started working out of the garage at my house. All right. That's how I started. I started from my own garage.
How were you getting customers? Going from you working for somebody else, now you're about to go into business by yourself, you in your garage. How did you start getting customers?
Believe it or not, the first customer I could say was a diehard customer was someone who was from New York, who knew me from New York. And I ran into them somehow down here. And, they asked me, was I still, doing the work? And I said, yeah, I'm still doing the work, if I can. And shoot, 2 days later, they were at my garage, man, with 2 rigs, for me to troubleshoot. And it kind of took off from there. They start telling other people about me, of course. And, I did the usual stuff. I put it on Facebook. I would have my nephew, who was a little kid back then. He was like maybe 7 years old. And, me and him used to like walk around, and I would give him like a handful of flyers and cards, and I would walk around with him, and I would have him, hand them out, because I thought to myself, they would, refuse the flyer and the card if I hand it to them. But if I let this little kid do it, You know,
Smart.
they'll take it. So I would walk around, you know, with my nephew and my
You out
niece,
there,
you know.
you trying to weaponize the cuteness of a kid.
Oh, absolutely. I have my little niece and my nephew out there. I'd have like, you know, maybe 200 cards, 200 flyers. And, you know, I would hand them with flyers. And, you know, we would walk around and I'd have them, you know, hand them out to people. That's pretty much how it started. And the business slowly start to come in, you know,
Who
slowly
was
it
that
trickled
first
in.
customer that you had that you were like, oh, I guess now I'm in the big leagues, or oh, now I better, step this operation up, or whatever. It could be from a challenge perspective or just from a market perspective. Like, oh, if I'm doing for that guy right now, then I've stepped up a level, a tier, if you will. So, who was that first customer or that first situation, if it existed for you?
Oh, that first customer was when I got a call from a guy. I'll never forget him. His name was Mark. And he had heard about me from someone else who had got a card and a flyer from, you know, my niece and nephew. And this guy had um 900 he had $900,000
Sorry about that.
worth of you know, landscape and hardscape contracts. You know, everybody else was pretty small, you know. $50,000 contracts, you know, $100,000 contracts, you know, not that that's, you know, small like that, but they were way smaller than him. This guy had almost $1 million worth of contracts. And he called me and he said, I heard about you. I heard you do good work. He said, I want to come in and I want to talk to you. So he came, you know, to the garage at my house, which was like, you know, my operating center at the time. And he said, you know, I want you to be our guy. I want to be able to bring my stuff to you. Because the mechanic that we have working on our stuff right now, he can't troubleshoot. He's not really good at diagnostics. All he's really good at is, you know, replacement. So me and him went right into contract from there. He was my first major company, you know, that I was working with and doing design for. Now people will tell you that mechanical engineering is white collar, and the bulk of it is. But see, what we do, we'll design your system for you, but I like to upsell. We will offer to do the install, and I will upsell to try to put you on an repair and maintenance contract as well. Because see, I want your money to keep coming. All right. I don't want to do the one and done thing. I tell people this all the time. Like 90% of the systems and things that we design, you know, 90% of them we do the repair and maintenance on them too. You know what I'm saying? Because I always want to get you under that contract, because see, it's a good selling point. Why? Because who better to come work on your stuff? Who better to maintain your stuff and repair your stuff than the people who designed it and or installed it? So that's always been a part of my thing, to try to upsell you. And repair and maintenance, believe it or not, is a very, very big part of what we do, because we do so many things. We don't just engineer mechanical systems and hydraulic systems, man. We do outboard motors, we do motorcycles, we do heavy duty power equipment like bulldozers, skid steers, backhoes, you know, payloaders. We work on all
Is
that
repair
stuff.
more profitable, or is there an aspect that's more profitable than the other in terms of diagnostics versus design versus then it's kind of a regular maintenance type of? Where are the margins, if you will, relative
Um,
to the degree to which you want to disclose that or not?
well, designing is actually the smaller part. To be honest
Mhm.
with you, brother Ike, that's the
Mhm.
smaller part. Um, I do the engineering. The guys who work for me, you know, they're engineering technicians. You know, my guys do a lot of the installs. All right. They do a lot of the repair and maintenance on said systems. I would have to say it's more profitable with the repair and maintenance. Why? Because you're probably doing more of that. The money comes in, and you can pretty much request your own. It puts you in a position where you can make your own prices for the most part.
Mm-hmm.
Because see, when you're doing engineering, you're usually one of, say, 3 or 4 people. I know here that they're kind of fielding, who's got the better price. It's almost like you're bidding most of the time, because see, they're going to go to the person who has the lower price most of the time. So you're always in competition when you're thinking about designing a system. But when it comes to maintenance and repair, it's different. It's not a lot of competition depending on what you do and what your specialty is. See, we do a lot of things. We don't just do that one thing. We work on a whole host of stuff, so and I'm right there with my guys. It's not like, I tell people this all the time. I'm not sitting in some office, all right, with my feet on the desk, and money's just running in the door. Absolutely not. I'm out there. I'm underneath those machines. I'm in those boiler rooms. I'm there with my dudes. The most of the contracts that we have, guess what? People want me there. I can't even get away a lot of times with, I'll be like, hey, I'll send my guy over there. No, you gotta come. So I'm right there, man. I'm there. Trust me, getting greasy, dirty, and the whole nine. Crawling on the ground, getting covered with insects and all that kind of nonsense. It's all part of it.
Well, let me ask you this, because it sounds like to some degree, if you wanted to, you could just be in an air conditioned office with your feet up, doing the white collar aspects of the business if you wanted to. But cost wise, would that really make a difference? Like, do you versus you getting out there and doing it versus paying employees to do it? Like, do you see a difference in the bottom line versus you getting out there and physically putting the physical blue collar manual work in, versus if you just took a complete step back and said, hey, I'm just going to do the white collar aspects of this? And like, would you lose money by doing it that way?
Um, I would maybe lose some, because the dudes that come through, because I only have 2 full-time guys. Everybody else is like kind of seasonal. They come in, during the summer. They like work till maybe September, October. I only have 2 full-time guys who work with me year round. Everybody else that comes in, they come in seasonal. They work for, summer. Some of these guys are college guys. I have a couple guys who've been, coming through for the last few years. If I was to fall back and say, okay, I'm just gonna sit back with my feet on the desk, I could probably get away with it with maybe 50% of what we do. A lot of people that patronize me now, they've been with me for many, many years. When they make the phone call, they want to see me pull up in the truck. Even if I got my other guys there, they want me there. To make it so I'm not there would probably change the dynamics of things, with my regular steady customers. But my newer customers, it probably wouldn't have that much of an effect. My older customers, yes, because they want me there. I mean, I went on vacation with my wife to celebrate our anniversary. We went to Florida for a week. I wasn't there 2 days for my damn phone ringing. Oh, I'm like, man, look, I'm on vacation with my woman. It's our anniversary. I said, look, I could send, one of my guys over there, 2 of my guys over. Nope. Oh, when you coming back? Well, be back Friday. You have to wait till then. You got to wait till then. So it would affect me a little bit, but I don't think it would affect me that much. I would probably not like it that much. I'm not much for the office, man. I mean, that's just not me. I don't really like sitting around, and that's not really my thing. I do that on Thursdays. Thursdays is my paperwork day. I go over invoices because I don't have a real accountant. I got like a pseudo accountant. Thursdays, I kind of sit around, in front of the computer, make sure everybody get paid, deal with accounts payable, accounts receivable, inventory. I deal with that stuff on Thursdays because Thursday is like my office day. 1 day a week inside the office is plenty for me. That's plenty. I don't need any more than that. If anything, I'd be off on my boat fishing. Now, if you want to talk about that, yeah, I could prefer to be out on my boat fishing, maybe somewhere off with my wife, with my grandchildren, that kind of stuff. Yeah, but I couldn't imagine me like, I would have to get someone else to do that, man, to just be sitting in the office all the time. And nah, man, that'd have to be somebody else, man. It couldn't be me.
When you talk about on Thursday making sure that everybody get paid and everything, sound like you're doing payroll and everything.
Mhm.
Do you have you ever ran into a problem where you're running the numbers and you're just thinking to yourself in terms of net versus cost versus profit and all, when you weigh everything out, have you ever came to the conclusion that I'm kind of paying my employees too much because I'm not making as much money. The bottom line for the company isn't as big. We got costs here, we got costs with buying equipment, we got costs with paying for this, advertisement costs, then we got paying employees cost.
Mhm.
Have you ever been in that situation where, man, the overall bottom line for the company is taking a hit, and one of my biggest expenses is paying employees? I could very well be paying employees too much right now. I gotta try to figure out a work around this. Do you run into those type of problems in business that a lot of people do? Like when you got your 10-man crew at the busy season, does that do you run into that problem?
Not really. I did in the beginning. I manage it differently now. I follow the Walmart. I follow the Walmart template where most of your employees are part time. Because if I don't need 8 guys, I'm not going to have 8 guys. If I don't need 10 guys, I'm not going to have 10 guys. Like right now, I have 6 people right now. Looking to maybe bring on 2 to 3 more within the next month because we've kind of expanded where we do hardscapes as well. We do hardscapes now. We do some landscaping now as well, and we do some commercial cleaning. I expanded that last year. COVID kind of made things take off. I never have any problems with employee costs because of what I charge. For instance, I was talking about this last week with Brother Osama. If we're doing a job, especially like a mobile call where I got people out there in the field, I charge $120 per hour per man. So the more people I have out there, the more money I make. Now I know that sounds counterintuitive, but my main guy, he makes $31 an hour. My other guy makes 20. All right. And the other guy, he makes 20. So if let's say I just got 2 guys out there. Say I got my 2 main guys out there, right? And I'm charging $120 per hour. That's $240 per hour that I'm making. I'm only paying 50. I'm paying 50. If I got 3 guys out there, I'm making $360 an hour, and I'm paying 70. And that's without me even being there. That's without me even being there. So when it comes to this type of work, one thing I discovered about doing engineering, especially when you're talking about working on power equipment, because we do a lot of that. All right. That's probably 60 to 65% of our business, where we work on bulldozers, payloaders, commercial lawn equipment, things of that nature. You can call your own shots in this, man. Especially when you're talking about on call stuff where we have to drive out to you. I pretty much charge whatever I want. Now, when you're talking about shop prices, it's pretty much you're at the mercy of the competition. Here, shop prices, especially when you're talking about power equipment, it's like the medium is pretty much $80, $90. per hour, medium. When you're talking about, small engines and things of that nature. So your price is set there. But mobile, you pretty much can pay whatever you want, because usually charge whatever you want, because usually you're coming on site where they've had a breakdown at a construction site, or they've had a breakdown where a guy needs to cut 5 acres of grass. He can't say, well, I'm not going to pay that, because guess what? That damn bulldozer be sitting right there in the middle of that work site. So yeah, so you can pretty much call your own shots when it comes to that. So like I said, the more guys I got out there, the more money I'm making. All right, because I don't just charge for the hourly work. Guess what? I charge for material. I charge for parts. So I've never had a problem with employees. All right, when it comes to paying employees, because of what I make off of said employees. So
yeah, I love that, because that's the key to vertical business. You've created a system where you ultimately work. It works whether or not you're physically there. You like to be there, but the system will run whether or not you're there or not, and you're going to make money whether or not you're there or not. That's the key thing. That's the difference between having a practice versus creating a system and having a business. Having a business, you're running a business, there's a system that you've created that can run, that can operate whether or not you're physically there. So that's a key thing. So yeah, I love that. TBE Trucking in the building. He says, I'm an ex-plumber / pipe fitter. I own 3 semi trucks. Big ups to this brother for making it in that trade. In Maryland, that's not an easy trade for us. Shout out to you for the $10 super chat. Shout out to you for that. Passing the mic before I pass the mic to Ike, and yeah, that rhymed. Before I pass the mic to Ike, moderators, make sure that we are dropping links in the chat room. Make sure we are dropping links in the chat room to brother Ike and brother Xavier. Make sure those links are in the chat room. And Ike is scribbling his notes on his. He's pretending to be writing something very important right there. He's playing he's playing tic-tac-toe against himself right now.
Well, I know I'm going to get those deep, in-depth damn questions from Brother Ike. Brother Ike and I have talked before. He's come on my show. Shameless plug. Check out Ike when he came on my show one time, folks. Look through my catalog and you'll see Brother Ike on the thumbnail, folks. But anyway.
So I asked earlier about the process and the different hats, the roles and responsibilities, and so on and so forth.
Oh yeah, we just leapfrogged over that. My bad.
Yeah, no. It's I think we talked about it in piece. It was peppered in there in terms of, for example, Thursdays you doing certain things that have to do with account payable, receivable, and office work. But I'm sure that during the week someone's having to kind of collect that information from clients and all that kind of stuff, right? Like, or are you also during the week kind of keeping track of everything, and then also on Thursday focusing on that stuff, or is there someone else? But anyways, let me ask you this: the first employee that you got, right, and the turnaround, also generally speaking, turnaround in tenure. I know you have contract people and so on and so forth. So you have like 2, but in terms of your main people, what's like the longest person you've ever you've had with you in duration? And what was the first person that you came in with, and what problem were you like, what, I got to solve this problem, or I can make this money, as we ended up with there? Or what was the impetus for, like, I need help? What was the first thing you're like, what, it's better if somebody else was doing this, if you will?
Well, the first 2 years were kind of rough, to be honest. First 2 years I was just doing everything. You're the marketer, you're doing the billing, you're doing the estimates, you're doing the accounting, you're doing the work, you're driving out, you're doing everything. I know for the first 2 years I was doing this, man, doing pretty much everything. I was doing it 2 years, doing everything for the first 2 years by myself. I didn't bring anybody on until 2016. I started in 2014. I didn't start, having someone come around and like help me till like 2016. Yeah, that was like 2016. Up until then, I was doing everything. I mean, everything, except, I had my little niece and nephew, doing some marketing for me, handing out cards and flyers. But other than that, they were the cheapest employees I had. I give them like $5 and take them out for ice cream, and that was their paycheck. But yeah, the first 2 years, man, I was doing everything myself. I mean, everything, and that's usually how it is. When you're talking about, yeah, when you're talking about, starting your own business, oftentimes, man, that first year or two, you're doing everything yourself. And when I first started, it almost sunk, man. It almost sunk. I had to take money from other sources to put back into the business. What saved it is that we moved. We moved to another part of town, and I moved the business to another part of town too, and business kind of picked up. I moved to a more affluent, if you will, area.
White.
And you said that, man, not me. Yeah, we moved to a more affluent area. And when we moved to an affluent area, this is the crazy thing. This is a little sidebar here. When I first started, right, we were in a more mixed area, but it was still primary Black for the most part. When we moved to a more affluent area, it changed, because inside the Black area, I think maybe 4% of my business was brothers. When we moved to the more affluent area, that picked up. It went from 10 to 15% brothers, which was
the
crazy
white man
to me.
didn't hold you back. Is that what?
Oh, absolutely not. Absolutely not. Of course, most of my customers were white. Most of my customers are still white. Most of them were white when I got there. But the amount of brothers I had picked up when I moved to a more affluent area.
Now, I'm curious. You are in a more Black area.
Yes.
And you had less Black customers. You moved to a whiter area and you got more Black customers.
Yes.
How and why is that? Do you think that's because with your business being over there, that they saw it as more reputable? Now they can use it, they can go to it. Like, what's your read on why that is?
I think what you said, and it could be in the more affluent area, you have more brothers who, own companies, because the guys that I deal with, a lot of these dudes have huge businesses, and they're brothers. They have gigantic landscaping business, gigantic construction businesses, so the brothers are more affluent, if you will.
I got it. You moved to a more affluent area, so the brothers over there were more affluent, and a more affluent brother that has an affluent business is going to be likely to say, "Hey, I'm going to do business with another brother."
Yeah, so I'm coming to the brother.
I'm glad to hear that. There's nothing
coming to the brother.
Nothing to criticize there. Nothing to criticize there. That's good. That's good.
Yeah. So and this is the thing, and people have heard me talk about this before. When I started my business, Brother Bernard and Brother Ike, I started it because I wanted to be somebody that the brothers could come to. Because, I watched my father do this. My father had a landscape business for 25 years. And things that him and I couldn't fix, he would have to take to someone else. And usually that person was white. and they would rake my father across the coals with what they charged him. So when I went into this business, I went into this business to do it for brothers who had companies, but they weren't really patronizing me like that. I wasn't getting the customer base like that. I mean, most of my customers were, they were white, they were Latino. I didn't have a huge customer base that were brothers. I just didn't. And people hear that, oh my God, but that's just what it was. When I moved to a different area, a quote unquote nicer area, the brothers over there owned companies. The brothers over there were contractors. The brothers over there they had 10, 15, 20 trucks on the road. And, they had like 1,000 freaking square foot office and, 2,000 square foot garages and stuff like that. The brothers on this side have, they have money. They have businesses. These dudes have $1 million, $2 million contracts just for landscaping. These are the type of brothers that are here. So once they find out there's a brother in the area who can not only do engineering, but modify, give their equipment more power, more speed. There's a lot of brothers over here. There's a black motorcycle club over here on this side. And guess what? All their motorcycles come to us. We do engine swaps. We do modifications. We do all kinds of stuff, man. We put radios. We put lights on tractors, on commercial lawnmowers. We do all of that stuff over here. So, once they find out, I will say this, and I know black folks gonna get mad, but y'all know old X does not care. One thing about black people, right? The more money a brother has, the more likely he is to deal with other brothers, especially in the field that I'm in. Because, see, make no mistake, when you talk about engineering and you talk about power mechanic engineering, this is a white boy sport like hockey.
Yeah.
All right. There's not a lot of brothers doing this here, man. I think I'm one of, besides my guys, I think I'm one of maybe 2 or 3 brothers in the whole city or in the whole county that does this. If you pull up to one of these shops, when you walk in there, you're going to see a bunch of rednecks. All right. That's what you're going to see. You come to see me, it's just a bunch of brothers in there, So, and a lot of people, right? And it's amazing that I hear this because I just heard it last week and I've been hearing it for a long time. When they call and they talk to me on the phone and I schedule an appointment to come and see them, whether it's, at their business or out on a job site where something's broke down or they need us to do some type of modification or metal fabrication or welding or whatever it is. The first thing they say when we get there, especially if they're a brother who owns a company, they say, damn, man, I didn't know brothers did this. That's the first thing they say because they're so used to dealing with white boys. They're so used to dealing with white boys. So when a brother shows up, they're like, they're like, wow, man, I thought you was a white dude. Because they're just not used to seeing a brother do this. They're not used to seeing it. So, I think I'm kind of changing the game here.
So besides the fact that, they come in and then they see, right? Oh,
hmm
now you got them in your marketing spell or whatever. But how did you externally push, besides the flyers and so on and so forth, your reputation, right? Because it's kind of a market or a sales slash marketing question I'm asking you here. But you've kind of described a way of kind of impressing people and then keeping them. And then are you depending on this person that is now impressed by word of mouth to tell his friends? Do you actively request or that they tell you? Is there some kind of active way of spreading the word of mouth, asking for referrals, and growing your reputation that way? If you could speak more to that.
Oh, absolutely. especially if we go on site or we come to your business, I always leave a stack of cards. I leave a stack of cards. I leave a pamphlet. I'm going to leave my mark
Always
wherever
slanging
I go.
something. Okay. All right.
Yeah, I'm going to leave my mark wherever I go. If I come, like if you call me, I can say, hey, look, man, I want you to, modify my bulldozer, man. I want you to change the engine. I want you to change the hydraulic system. I want it to have more power. I want it to be, I want it to be able to dig deeper. I want to change the hydraulics. I come over there and we, design a system for you. And when I design it, I'm going to try to upsell you. I'm going to say, let us do the install. And if you let me do the install, I'm going to say, well, let us put you under this maintenance contract. If it breaks down, something happens to it, we'll come look at it. And I'm going to leave a stack of my cards and flyers in your place. If you allow me to, I'm going to leave some there. And when someone comes to you who also owns a piece of equipment like you're going to say, hey, man, here, take one of these cards and call X because, he worked on my stuff. So
is this
that's
a natural
what
talent of yours? Have you always been that guy? Have you always been the hustler, the sales guy? Or is it something you had to learn? And is there anything you can, in either way, regardless of the answer to that question, what would you have to say in terms of advice on how to be good at this or be systematic at it, whatever it may be? So is it natural to you? And what advice would you give?
Well, I learned this from my pop. I mean, I give my pops a lot of credit. People always, hear me talk about my old man because this is what my old man did. He always tried to leave his mark. He said, man, you got to pee on every tree. He said, yeah, he would say, pee on every tree, boy. So, that's what I do. I pee on every tree. If I come there and I do some work for you, I'm going to pee on a tree, so I'm going to leave, some cards, I'm going to do something because I feel like word of mouth, people underestimate word of mouth. All right. I mean, because I hand out, cards and stuff like that when I'm out. But if I hand out 100 business cards, right, I may get 5 phone calls off of those business cards.
Yep.
When most people call me, you know what they call me and say, I got your number from such and such. That's what most people say. All right. Like I said, I could hand out maybe 200 business cards and maybe 10 people will call me and say, oh, yeah, you gave me your card, a week ago. 90% of the people who call me, they say, hey, man, I got your number from such and such. I got your number from, I picked up one of your cards from such and such shop. That's what most of people say, new customers. That's where it comes from. Word of mouth, man. You can do all the advertising you want. But in this type of business, in blue collar business, man, word of mouth goes a long way because it's sort of like one person tells one person and that person tells 2 people. Those 2 people tell another 2 people, especially if you're good at what you do. And not to toot my own horn, but me and my dudes, we are good at what we do.
And you talked about Facebook earlier, and then I'll pass it back to you, Bernard, but you were still in this area of marketing. You said something which is, I will put it on Facebook as well, when in terms of the jobs that you were doing, in order to kind of generate this kind of word of mouth and keep your reputation going and have a brand. Is this something that other people were doing as well? Or in other words, there tends not to be a lot of advertising in this space in terms of, So how did you, is this just part of your whole pee on every tree, I'm going to go pee on every social media? Or is that, if you could speak on that a little bit, the social media aspect, is this something people tend to do? Or, take it away.
The Facebook part of it never went anywhere because what do you do on Facebook? You get inquiries from people who are freaking 500 miles away. So, that really doesn't work out. You get a handful of people who contact you, locally, and you got to look at it like this. The broad base of our customer list are people who own companies. Let's be honest. It's not really the rank and file. I mean, we have some, we have a small amount of customers who just, might have a piece of equipment that they work in their backyard with. But most of the people that we deal with, because we do mostly commercial work, we don't do a lot of residential stuff. It's mostly commercial. Everything we pretty much work, except for like say motorcycles and outboard motors. Everything else, man, we talk about power equipment. You talk about commercial lawn equipment. It's all commercial stuff. These are people who own companies. They own construction companies. They own landscaping companies. So these are the people that we deal with mostly. So in that sense, you're always going to be that guy. All right. People know who you are. All right. Everybody's pretty interconnected.
Let me just pause and kind of say something, reiterate the importance of the magnitude of what you're saying. Okay. So there's a set of skills in the trades, right? It's generally speaking, right? Broaden it out a little bit. You can get these skills. They'll get you ready to get into work. You're going to go into this particular place where it's not even about advertising. You don't have to compete with, the other mattress dealer and car dealer or whatever and the biggest billboard type game. Okay. If you are competent in the beginning, it is rare people will take you and you will learn and so on and so forth. If you're entrepreneurial, you get your certifications and so on and so forth, which by the way you should definitely take advantage of that aspect. But you're going to be in this situation where it's word of mouth, it's a certain kind of a club, and you can make money that way. That's the whole point in other words, the blue collar path is a quicker path if you're willing to just work the machinery, right? It's a quicker path, and in a certain way, a more certain path of that whole industry of the trades. Anyways, I just wanted to kind of bring it all together of like, there's no reason, right? And I know Bernard is an advocate for this as well. No reason why you shouldn't, first of all, have the skills, because it's very important, right? Whether it be hanging up this glass board over here or cutting some steel to build a little kind of weight rack thing. You should know your way around some measuring, cutting, fastening, you know. And then secondly, the ease of making money and the nature of the industry such that you don't have to do a lot of marketing. You just need is this reputation and competence thing. It's like mind-boggling, right? And there's money in there. But anyways, one thing you did not get into was the particular impetus that pushed you in 2016, getting that first employee. Where like, I got to do this, right? And also, if you mix it in here to the. Is there a lot of turnover, or how do you find the good people to keep them? I know it hasn't been that long, so it's kind of not like, but basically those two guys you have, how long have they been? Like 2 years in terms of, so yeah, go ahead, please.
I first hired someone in 2016, and to be honest, brother, I needed the people in 2015, 2014. But I wasn't, the business wasn't doing, I wasn't doing enough business to be able to pay other people. Because when I first started, like I said, that the business was barely holding on. I was, barely able to keep it afloat. So I couldn't afford, to hire somebody. Yeah, right. Now I needed, it would have been nice to have somebody, but I couldn't afford to hire somebody the first 2 years.
So is this before you got that big guy with the big contract?
Yeah.
Okay.
I couldn't afford to do it. I had to do everything myself just to, stay pretty much even. And there were times where I was like in the red. So, I couldn't afford to bring anybody on. Once I got to like 2016, it all changed. More money is coming in, more work. So I'm like, hey, look, I need to bring somebody in to help me, because I needed the help.
You just couldn't be at many places at the same time.
Nope, I couldn't do it.
That was the main thing, right?
Yeah, I couldn't do it. Okay. I needed help, brother. I needed help. And I said, well, I'm going to, try to hire one guy. I started off with one guy, right? Mm-hmm. And when he showed up, knew his way around a toolbox, knew what to do, very knowledgeable young guy. And he's been with me for like 5 years. He's been with me since 2016. I got another guy who's been with me like 4 years. These are knowledgeable guys. These are my main dudes. All right. These are the, get to take a truck home dudes.
Mm.
The other guys, like I said, these are guys who, because they're basically, for the most part, helpers, for the most part. They do know their way around a toolbox. They understand what we do, but they're in and out. They're seasonal. I mean, I got one guy who comes, he helps us out on the weekends. He comes in on maybe Thursday, Friday, Saturday. He's there like 3 days, in the shop, organizing things, sharpening blades, sharpening chainsaws, doing oil changes, easy stuff that we don't really have time to do. And I got another guy, he comes and he works like pretty much the whole summer. So, they're kind of in and out. That, number one, keeps my payroll to a minimum. That keeps that to a minimum. And not only that, I always have an extra set of hands when I need it. Because if I got two guys doing some shop work, right, and say we get out on a job site and we might have underestimated how many people we need, I can get on the phone and be like, hey, y'all two get down here because, we need y'all down here. So, you always have a few, extra hands. It's always good to have extra hands around, man. I mean, there's no denying that, especially in blue collar work, because it's always good to have somebody to go get the tools. It's always good for somebody to unload the truck. It's always good for somebody to load it. It's always good to have people to haul the trash out. You need these people, man. You need them. Anybody that does blue collar work understands that. You need these people. You need them.
Bernard, one. I know I've been hogging it, but
Oh, no, you good. You good. I'm loving it. Go ahead.
So let me ask you a question about the okay, to highlight the point that you just made, okay, about help and tiers and layers of help. This is something that in this business series with myself and Bernard, we've pointed out about permanent employees, contract people, and then just people that you can call for certain specialized things. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I have a research guy, for example. That's the guy that I keep on talking about that's in Brazil, right? I'm like, I need to learn this concept, okay? It may be for any kind of reason. It could be for my engineering business. It could even be for YouTube, or it could be for my other YouTube engineering channel, which is something not in my work, but I just want to. And I'm like, he's got a few hours, and he's really smart, and here's the pay rate, and he takes care of that business for me. And I think that this what you just mentioned there about needing people to do certain things, lift up certain things, right? In other words, it may be research, or it may be loading the truck or unloading the truck or picking up a tool and so on and so forth. This kind of frees up your time, your energy. You can bring more bang, get more bang for your buck in terms of the situation. Now, is there kind of a training and development process here? Like from when the person started to, how do you go from the just a help to I get to take the truck home guy, right? Is there a training process and a development process? How does that usually work? Or what are your thoughts regarding that whole thing in general?
Well, I'm not much for full-on trainees where I have to bring you in and train you in everything. You're not going to last with me if you don't at least know your way around a toolbox, because we use about 525 different pieces of tool and machinery. All right, we use about 525 different types of tools, man. So I can't bring you on with me and I got to sit down and teach you every single one of those tools and teach you what every single one of those tools are used for. That's absurd. If you come in and you know your way around a toolbox, you done just won some points. Because if you know your way around a toolbox, that means you know pretty much what these tools are for. Ergo, you know what to do with them. You know how to use them. To me, that's very impressive. And don't come around me with some already mechanical knowledge. If you can look at something and say, this is this is that, you know the difference between a rectifier and a carburetor. You know what I'm saying? I mean, you come in with that kind of knowledge, you're probably going to get put on. Yeah, you're probably going to get put on. If you come in and you don't know anything about anything, you're probably
how easy it is to find these people, though? How
it's not.
It must exactly. It must.
It's not.
Yep.
It's not. It's
Yep.
not, um, especially when you're talking about young guys, because for some reason, young guys, especially guys in like the millennial stage, they don't know a lot. For some reason, these guys don't know how they don't know the difference between a T square and a screwdriver. They don't know the difference between a standard wrench and a metric wrench. They don't know the difference between a gear wrench and a crescent wrench. It's like, uh, when you got this, when you have this problem, you're always going to be you're always going to be apprehensive of bringing people on with you, because if you're working on equipment, right? The equipment that I work on and design and modify, these are expensive pieces of equipment. All right. These aren't cheap pieces of equipment. I mean, we work on things, man, that are worth from $5,000 all the way up to $500,000. I've worked on machinery that costs damn near $1 million, man. All right. I can't have people out there half doing it. I can't have them out there breaking things. I can't. I say this all the time. I can't have them out there uh, 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 unloosening bolts with vice grips. I can't have that kind of stuff going on, because whatever happens out there, I have to eat that. Something gets broken, I have to eat that. That's coming out of my coffers. It's not coming out of the dudes that I hire coffers. So I at least want you to be proficient with tools, have some knowledge of the mechanical process and a little mechanical theory. I don't expect you to know as much as me. I've been doing it 30 years. All right. I don't expect that from you, but I do expect you to at least have the common knowledge of working with hand tools, understanding what to do, what not to do. All right. I need you to at least know that. If I'm constantly telling you, hey, man, what are you doing? Don't do that. You're not the person to come work for us. You're not. I mean, yeah, and like I said, I don't believe in trainees. All right. Because what I can do is this: I can bring you in if you have knowledge of tools, know how to work it, understand what we do. Everything else I can kind of grandfather you in on. I can teach you how to do disassembly. I can teach you to do an install. I can teach you to do that stuff. But I can't teach you processes. I can't be sitting there teaching you, what tools to use and how to use them. And you backing off bolts with vice grips and pliers and crap like that. I cannot have that kind of stuff going on, because see, ultimately it's my reputation. Because even if I'm not there and someone goes out on a job site and do something, when something breaks, I get the phone call. All right. I get the phone call. My phone rings when you screw something up out there in the field. So, I mean, like I said, I don't really believe in trainings. When you come to me, you got to already know something. That's just what it is. And people say I'm wrong for that. My wife, who's a bleeding heart, oh, you should bring these guys. Nope. You don't know nothing. This ain't the place for you. Yeah, this ain't the place for you. But anyway.
All right. Native of Rain in the building with the $10 super chat. Appreciate that. Says big money, but not top flight. Ike TPOT the G. Thank you, Native of Rain. Appreciate the $10 super chat. Miseducation of an African in American. The great topic. Knowledge opens doors. Personality closes deals. Thank you
right.
guys
He's
for
right.
the super chats. Appreciate that. Appreciate the $5. Let's talk about that. When you got somebody and they're doing stuff they got no business doing. They mean well. They're not bad. Not a bad person. Not a bad guy. He's just using the wrong tool for the wrong job. He breaking stuff. It just ain't working out. In good old kind-hearted X got to go. Donald Trump, you're fired. Like you, how does that work? And just explain that process. 'Cause I'm sure there's been some times as a black business owner, you got an all black crew. There's obviously some pro blackness in there. So what's the process? What goes through your mind? Or just you can give a direct a direct example of something that happened that went awry during the firing process, something unexpected. Just tell us, give us a story, because I'm sure every employer in that sense has had to fire somebody you probably didn't want to fire, and it was probably some mess that happened. But let's go ahead, just talk about that, having to fire people.
In this in this particular industry, of course you're going to have some turnaround. I wouldn't consider my turnaround high, uh because some guys who come and work for the season for us, they leave and they don't come back. So that's not technically being fired. They went back to college or whatever they're doing.
Wait, hold on. What I'm hearing right there is you got somebody there temporarily, and you just looking at them, shaking your head like he ain't coming back next
Yeah,
season.
yeah, he ain't
So
coming back.
you don't have to fire them. You just let the busy season end,
Yeah,
and just
just
let
let
them
it
know that, all right,
in,
yeah,
and they
we'll
don't
call
get a
you. We'll be in
they
touch.
don't get a phone call in March. Yeah, they don't get a phone call in March. But I've had to, and my main guy, all right, my main guy. I ain't gonna say his name because I don't want to blow him up, because he's not really like a media guy. But my main guy, he has the power to hire, or he discovered last year that he also has the power to fire. Um, when people come through, they come through him. I let, because he knows the business. He's got the keys to the kingdom. When I go on vacation, he's running the show. He kind of runs people through their paces. Usually by the time, if you meet me, you've probably already pretty much been hired.
Oh, that's
Because
nice.
he'll call me and be like, yo, boss man, I like this guy, he knows such and such. And I like his judgment. He just discovered, like a year ago, that he can actually fire people too. Because I told him, I'll tell you a story. I'll give you a story. Last year we were on a job. It was a pretty significant job. And I wasn't there. I had my main guy out there, and he was out there with the 3 other guys, seasonal guys. And, he calls me. He's like, oh, boss man, you got to come down here, see what's going on. So I'm like, okay, I'll come down there. So I get down there, and as soon as I get down there, I see these guys like just kind of laying around, lazy, just kind of just laying on their asses. And I walk over and I look in the truck, and one thing I noticed, my truck smelling like weed. I'm like, oh God, these Negroes are smoking weed in my damn truck. So I walk over, and they're just kind of laying around. And before I can even get to them, the customer comes out, and he's like, well, these guys, they were talking to me really bad, So, I told him straight up. I was like, look, man, I'll pay y'all what I owe y'all for the rest of the week, man. But y'all go ahead, man. Just, drive the truck back to the shop, get in your cars and do what you got to do. I'll pay you what I owe you on the week, and that's it. So I told my guy, I said, look, man, I said, when it comes to this kind of stuff, you can fire these guys. So I told him, I was like, you have the power to fire these guys, because when I'm not around, you're me. All right? You are me. When I'm not here, you are the right hand of the king. You fire these dudes. It's screwing up. You fire them. So now I don't even really have to fire. All right? I'll let my guy fire. I don't really have to. I'm the big boss. You know what I'm saying? And he's the little boss. And the big boss, I don't need to fire. If he doesn't like a guy, because now he'll call me, boss man, this guy, I'm like, well, tell him to go home. I mean, I'm probably not going to be the one to fire you. Just like I'm not going to be the one to hire you. I'm not. If I'm looking at you screw up, that falls back on him, because I'm going to call him into the office. I'm going to call him to the side and be like, why is this guy still here? Like, you see what he's doing. Man, get him out of here. So it's kind of like that. I have fired guys in the past for doing one thing or another. I've had people destroy people's things, break doors and stuff like that. The run over sprinkler systems and that kind of crap, wreck trucks. I mean, it happens. I mean, when you run a business, these things happen. They run into something with the truck, or a piece of equipment falls off the back of the trailer. You get a new guy, he talks crazy to your customers. You have these things. That's part of the deal when you're in charge of other people. You're always going to have these little snafus. I've been fortunate. It hasn't cost me too much money, but it does happen when you have to fire somebody because they've done something unprofessional. They've done something stupid. They've disrespected a long time customer who's been with you a long time. That's getting you fired immediately. If you disrespect the customer who's been with me for 5-6 years, you're out of here. Out of here. Gone. That's when I will fire you. If I come down there and one of my long-term customers say, yo, man, I don't like the way this guy talked to me. He said this, that, and that. You're out of there. Just go. Go home. Yeah. There's levels. There's levels to everything. You know how that is. Levels to everything.
All right. You can go ahead, Ike. I saw you writing.
Okay. So let's talk a little bit about some kind of financial things here, because you mentioned the costs of things falling, things breaking, blah blah blah. So I'm sure there's some kind of insurance also to just to operate, right?
Oh yeah.
Workman's comp and this and that and the other. So if you could kind of in two ways, one in terms of the growth and how these costs tend to grow with as your operations grow. In other words, scaling things and the need to, oh my God, now I got to buy the big boy insurance for these big boy type of contracts, right? And also, the bigger your clients get, the longer it takes for them to pay, right? You know this. Right?
Oh yeah.
Small people pay quick. Big people, the massive accounting system, and they're the 90-day people, right?
That net 30, net 60 nonsense, which I freaking hate.
Exactly. And so there's the cash flow issue, and also there is the growing and scaling, the needing, therefore, to buy more insurance, needing, therefore, to perhaps maybe having a line of credit because big clients don't pay on time, so on and so forth. So I have, pick around in there regarding cash flow, finance, and so on and so forth.
Of course, the cost of operation has grown over the years. The insurance cost has grown over the years. Because each year, we buy more stuff. We have to expand. You got to buy another truck, 2 extra trucks, another trailer. So of course your cost of operation are always going to grow as your business grows. Bigger building, that kind of stuff. I have a bigger building. At one time I had 2 shops at one time. Still I do now. It's just that one of the shops is at the house. I used to have 2 shops out there, in the field. And I kind of consolidated, and I have a smaller shop, at the crib. But not much gets done there, pretty much people that I know, they kind of come there. Far as insurance and things of that nature, it's just like, insuring your house. What people don't understand about operating a business, right? It's like having another household, because pretty much the same things you have at your house, you have to have there. You got insurance on your crib, you got insurance on your cars, I got insurance on my dog, and your business is the same way. You got to have insurance on it. You got to have insurance on the vehicles that are there, the lights, the water, the gas, all that has to be paid, your lease. It's like having another crib. It's like having another crib. It's just that crib makes you money. The crib you live in don't. The crib you live in makes you nothing. It costs you.
Because you got to say, that's taking money away from you.
You got people in it. You got people walking around and, burning lights and water.
Got a bunch of unemployed, hungry people just walking around.
Just walking around, not making you any kind of money. In the business is different. At least the people walking around in there, they may cost you, but they also, bring revenue in. So it's totally different. It's a different kind of house.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a different kind of crib over there. That crib actually makes money, so you don't mind what you spend. Sometimes you want to say, you know what? Let me just get rid of this house and move into my damn shop. I think that's a more economical thing. Just get rid of the crib and just move into the shop, because the shop just makes money.
Mm-hmm.
It got money coming in. The house bleeds money. It just bleeds. It doesn't make you anything. It doesn't make you anything.
Speaking of the finances, have you ever done a calculation or an evaluation of your business? Because it sounds like it's so many moving parts you got going on. You probably own so much equipment, the facility that you use to do it, all those moving parts. Like your business probably, put it like this: there's somebody who I knew him.
Mm-hmm.
He ran a business.
If I
His
liquid,
business was evaluated at $1 million. Like he was basically a millionaire and didn't realize it, because he ran a business that was worth over $1 million. Do you
yeah,
know the worth of your business?
about 350,000.
Oh, 350,000. Okay.
About 350,000, give or take. If I liquidated everything, today, probably about 350,000 on the low end. If I held out for a higher price, maybe a half a million, possibly. But about $300,000 worth of, if you calculate all the equipment and the contracts and all that kind of stuff, probably about 350,000. Now, I'm not saying y'all that I'm making that kind of money a year, God damn it.
Yeah, I know.
If I was, I wouldn't be on YouTube right now. I'd be on my yacht fishing. But y'all wouldn't know me if I made that kind of money.
But no, it's a lot of numbers in business that a lot of people don't realize. Like when we interviewed Queen Q, she was talking about how I forgot what she said they made in sales. Ike, you probably remember, in 3 months it may have been $50,000 in sales or something like that.
Yeah, it was right there between 40 and 50.
Yeah, it was about $50,000 in sales. Now, of course, that's in sales. That's got to subtract subtract what they paid for the products that they sold. Got to subtract, employee expenses. Got to subtract paying rent and utilities for the facility. And I'm sure they had a nice amount still left over, but a lot of people don't realize. You look at what the business totally does in sales and all the assets and everything, like all of that adds up to where people be running $1 million operations and don't even realize it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I'm not there yet. I mean, we do pretty good. We do pretty good now, but I'm not rich. What people don't understand, and I say this a lot, running your own business is the equivalent of having a really good job. All right, I mean, that's what it is. Especially in a blue collar field, if you're running the business, it's the equivalent of having a really, really good job. I definitely make more money than my guys do, and I definitely make more money than I would make working for someone else. But guess what? I still get up 5 o'clock in the morning, man. I still get up at 5 o'clock in the morning. Like I said, I'm not sitting in some damn office with my feet up, and money's just running in the door. No, I get my ass up 5 o'clock in the morning every day, just like everybody else. All right. I'm the first one there, and a lot of times the last one to leave. So that's kind of what it is when you're running this kind of business. I don't know about other people's businesses, but the business that I run, sun up to sundown, first one in the door, last one out of it. And guess what? Come home, eat, take a shower, get up the next day, do the same shit all over again. That is my life. All right. That's my life.
How much in keep in mind, this is the question I'm asking. This is not how much money X get to keep, so don't come try to borrow something from them. But how much does it make in total sales? If you understand what I'm, because I mean, it's not like you're actually selling a product, you're selling a service. But either way, but the total.
Well, we sell parts and stuff too.
Oh, okay, so you do then.
We sell parts. We sell. You can come to us and get. Uh, you can come to us and get hydraulic pumps, starters, alternators, rectifiers, uh, fuel pumps, fuel lines, um, two-stroke carburetors. You can get those. You can come to us to get relays. You come to us to get circuits. You can come to us to get harnesses. I mean, we don't sell everything, but
Yeah,
we do
but
sell belts and things of that nature and
but from the
starters.
sound of things, just with the size of the operation, it seems as if the total amount that you charge for labor, that you charge for parts, that you charge for everything that you do, the money that comes in, granted, you don't get to keep all of it. It
Nope.
sounds like it would be monthly in astronomical numbers. So if you don't mind, about what is that total number in sales that would, if you had to say,
Per month in sales with parts. You're talking about
parts,
parts.
labor, everything.
Um, it never. How much does it cost me? How much does it? How much
No,
does my
how
employees
much
cost?
do the customers pay you? Not how much you get to
Okay.
keep. How much do customers pay you? How much money do customers send to X's company?
I want to say. I
You
want to
got
say. I
oh, go
want to
ahead.
say. I want to say. 30,000. Probably about $30,000 a month comes in, but a lot of that goes out because I have most months I have somewhere between $10,000 and $15,000 worth of payroll in the heavy season. Yeah, in the heavy season, you're talking $10,000, $15,000 just for payroll alone. Now, if we doing good, right? If we doing really, really good, that's when we're doing pretty good. We're doing about $35,000 per month in the heavy season. In the light season, not so much. The light season, it gets to be about, I don't know, maybe 15 a month, but I also have a smaller crew. We have shorter work days. So it's different. It's totally different. Um, the revenue rises in the busy season, but I also have a handful more of employees, spending more money on material. Yeah, so at the height of the heavy season, I would say about a good 40 grand a month comes in, but a whole hell of a lot goes out.
Yeah.
All right. A lot goes out. It's not like I'm stacking 40 grand a month. Yeah, right.
Yeah, that's why I tried to preface it so people won't be like, "Oh, X is just sitting over there rich." I'm like, no,
Balling under control. Hell no. Shoot, out of that
Yeah, and
out of that 40,000. Trust me, I'll get a whole hell of a lot out of it. But go
no,
ahead.
the main thing though is the 40,000, right? Because this goes to that pipeline thing that we talk
Yep.
about, Bernard, right? So it's not about what you get to keep; it's about the fact that you're siphoning. Like you created this machine that sucks $40,000 out of the market, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that is the creation. Okay, that is the entity. That is the creature, if you will, that you've created. That is valuable. That is the value. Like if you were to go
Mm-hmm.
to a bank, the bank doesn't. I mean, it's important to the bank when you tell the bank, look, the cash flow will be able to cover the debt service. I got 40,000 coming in a month. You
Mm-hmm.
leverage that. They don't care how much you're putting in your pocket. Like, oh, okay, cool. You can do the debt service and all that kind of stuff. So, yeah, I think we kind of there's something about competition that you mentioned earlier. You said that you did research in New
Mm-hmm.
York, right? Or before you moved to New York, or something like something about that, about the competition, what they charge, so on and so forth. What other ways have you had to pivot your game, change, reiterate as a result of what the competition is doing? Has this driven perhaps innovation? So the continued competition research and your reactions to it over time.
Um, my response to competition is number one, try to be better. I try to, I try to compete, with my pricing. I try to compete with how I do the work. If someone has a crew out there of 2 people and I'm bidding on a job, I will go and I will say, hey, look, I will have 3 guys there. I will have 4 guys there. Um, the competition here, luckily, the competition here isn't that stiff for the simple fact that where I live and operate, there's not many of us. I said before, there's not many brothers doing it, and there's not many. It's not like there's quote unquote power mechanic engineering outfit in every damn town. I think in the county that I live in, I think there's altogether maybe 7 in this county. Yeah, I think there's 7 in the county. So everybody kind of has their own precinct. Um, it's sort of like the cops. Everybody has their own precinct. It gets a little dicey when you get out of your precinct. Because
Okay.
we're in North. Yeah, you get out of your precinct, it gets a little dicey. Because see, what happens is I get a lot of calls because I don't just do work, in North Carolina. I do some in South Carolina as well. I'm in Fort Mill, I'm in Rock Hill, and that's where it gets dicey because they see you pull up in there with your trucks, and your trucks say Mecklenburg, and here you are in South Carolina doing work. So it gets a little dicey when you get out your precinct, and you run into some problems. You do run into some problems where people, oh, what are you doing here? Oh, you're cutting our throats. You run into that. You do. Yes, you do run into that kind of stuff. Out of precinct, though, in precinct, I don't bump into too many hits because believe it or not, all right, there's been times where other power mechanic shops have brought stuff to us. They kind of subcontract it out to us because it's a problem that they cannot solve. So they will bring it to us. Um, we'll look it over and decide whether or not we're going to deal with it. That has happened, So one thing about doing this kind of thing, right? Especially when you're talking about power mechanics, small engine mechanics working on power equipment, mechanical engineering. Most of the time, even though it's a white boy sport, the white boys recognize skill. And they recognize if one outfit is better than theirs. My shop is probably outfitted better than a lot of shops around here. I mean, I got a fully outfitted shop. My shop it ain't some guy standing in there with a pair of vice grips and a screwdriver underneath a damn tree some damn where. All right. I mean, everything you could possibly imagine is inside that building. All right. Because I know what to do. I've been doing this for 30 years. I know what we need. All right. I know what we need. So here they recognize skill. That's why other shops will subcontract work to you. All right. I've been subcontracted work from the city because their mechanics either can't get it done or they're overwhelmed. They need it back at a certain time. Their guys are, on the road or something like that. So they understand. Yeah, they understand, man. They understand they understand how this process works and they understand skill. And like I said, man, I've been doing this 30 years. All right. I didn't start this yesterday or last week. I've been doing this a long time, and there's not too many things I have not seen. All right. When I went to school, right? When I went to school, and back then, uh, I took, of course, mechanical engineering as a major, but I also took heavy equipment, truck and diesel technician, heavy equipment operations. Um, I took some electrical engineering. I took some electrical and construction maintenance. Uh, diagnostics, mechanical diagnostics, so on and so forth. So, I mean, I know the business, man. I've been doing it a long time. And forget the schooling, because I look back on going to school because I went to a technical college. I didn't go to the HBCU and all shit like that. I went to a technical college, and to be honest with you, the stuff that I learned in technical college, I probably could have learned it in a vocational program and freaking been able to do the same stuff, probably be at the same place I am now. All right. Because most of the stuff, and I'm going to tell you this, not to disparage people from going to, like, say, a technical college or something, but this may disparage you. Most of the stuff I learned in school, man, guess what? Most of it doesn't even apply now.
That is what I was going to ask you about the change, because changes in technology, because I mentioned the changes such in the competition and how you've researched them, perhaps certain level of competition, which you mentioned there in terms of them outsourcing things to you, game recognized game, all that kind of stuff. And then I was going to also ask about changes in technology, because this is a line of work where technology has changed greatly, from the digital end of things. Also, I'm sure tools are getting even better, besides the fact that they may be more automated and use of computers and so on and so forth. So what has been your experience in terms of how things change, in terms of the ways in which they're done and the tools with which they're done?
Well, when you're talking about doing not just engineering, but mechanical operations in general, I've noticed that there's probably more change on the engineering part of it as opposed to the mechanical part of it, because I mean, the mechanic tools are mechanic tools, right? You may have a caliper, right? A caliper works like a caliper, right? Just now that it's digital now. That's all. It does the same thing. It's just that it has. I'm being honest. A caliper it does the same thing. It's just that the readout is digital now. When you talk about mechanical tools, they haven't really changed all that much. I mean, you might have a socket, a ratchet wrench that has a better grip. All right, that can take more torque. I mean, but they're pretty much the same for the most part. They haven't changed that much. Of course, you have digital readouts on many things that you didn't have before, but I mean, the tools haven't changed that much. They just look better. They don't work like any different. They don't do different work. They're just a little shinier. They're a little shinier. They got digital readouts. They beep and do all this kind of nonsense, but it's not like they do. It's not like they do anything different. It's not like they jump off your tool belt and go measure it itself and then jump back in your toolbox. It doesn't do that.
How about the ways of operation? For example, if you take, for example, let's say the construction world, because everything is construction, right? Whether you are installing a building or installing an engine, right? You're building, so that kind of a thing. There's a general trend towards prefabrication in certain types of construction, where before you go and you build something on site. Now more and more, because you can do this AutoCAD thing, really plot it out and measure things. You can kind of pre-plan and then pre-build, come in and install. Ease of installation makes it such that you save money. Blah blah blah. Is there such an analogy in your world in terms of the changing of the means and methods and the procedures more to a lot of more pre-work done, that kind of thing? Is there something like that occurred in your lifetime?
Yeah, well, it's occurred over the years, where some things, I know I'm talking crap, but some things are a little easier. We do things a lot faster than we did, say, 2 or 3 years ago, because we have when you switch from manual operation to digital operation, you're going to save some degree of time. I mean, that's just the way it is. You're going to save time. As far as when you're talking about the construction and the building of things, what you have now is with the rise of new technologies, you know, blueprints and specs aren't on paper anymore. You got that on your iPad. I look up some stuff, man, and do stuff on my phone. But most of the time you have your iPad. You're not literally out there, drawing with a pencil and a T square, and you're not doing that. Not in my field, you're not. Most of the time you're not doing that. You got that crap on your iPad for the most part. It's been designed already, on your computer, and you put it into your iPad and you go out there and you already have your specs. You have your design. You already know the dimensions of what you're going to do. You can even pretty much figure out how much time it's going to take. I think that's what you're saying, brother Ike. I think that's the greatest thing that has taken place, is that now I can actually estimate how much time something's going to take. Something I probably couldn't do 5-6 years ago. I'd be guessing, but I look at something now, I'll be like, well, we'll be there 3 hours. We're there 2 hours and 50 minutes. We're there 3 hours and 20 minutes. Now, back before, I didn't really know, but now you can kind of calculate, because this is going to take us 30 minutes. This part's going to take us an hour. This part's going to take us another 30 minutes. It's going to be 2 hours. You go back, you catch me 6-7 years ago, I didn't know how long it was going to take. I may say, oh, it take me about an hour and be there 3 freaking hours, or, it take us 1 day, we're there 2 days, so that has changed, where I can come to you, you call me Brother Bernard, and you say, hey, X, how long will it take to do X, Y, and Z? I can say, well, according to what I got here, 3 hours. And it's going to be 3 hours. So that is something that has definitely changed. I'm actually able to give you a more precise, when I give you an estimate now of how long it's going to be, what we're going to need, prices of material, it's pretty much spot on. 7 years ago, not so much. So that has changed. Yes, that's changed.
There, I said it in the building with the $5 super chat. He says, talk a little about the red tape / county code requirements and how to handle extra obstacles a brother will face getting approved. Yes, he wants to know that even though a black man is in here talking about how he's running a business, hires only black men, has a 10 to 12 man crew at the most, speaking strong from a position of power, he wants to know how the white man holding you back. So we can't even just have a discussion where we just speak strong and no. Take a step back. Let us know how the white man holding you down. So that's what he wants to know. Go ahead, Hex.
Well, I've had this question come to me before. I've also had people say things like, "Oh, the only reason why you able to do this business because the white man let you." I've had that too. And this is what I say. I have to carry the same permits, the same licenses as everybody else who does this. There's no special license because I happen to be a black man. I don't go into a different line. It's not like there's this white man contractor line and a black man contractor line that I have to stand on. All right. I have to carry the same licenses. I have to carry the same permits. I have to follow the same ordinances. I am registered in the county and in the state, just like everybody else. Guess what? My shop gets inspected just like everybody else's. I have to meet certain requirements just like everybody else. It's not different because I happen to be black and doing this. And it's not even that. I mean, I'm not even the biggest guy. I'm not the biggest wolf on the block. I'm still a small business. All right. I'm a small business. So I run it like a small business. I don't do anything special because I'm black. Now, mind you, on the other side of that, like I spoke about earlier, there has been times when we get a call and we show up and people's mouths drop because I'm black. All right. Their mouths drop because I say again, in North Carolina, this is a white boy sport. So when they see the brothers show up, I get out the truck. I got brothers with me. They get out the truck. Their mouths kind of drop. It's a crew of Negroes. I've had that. But, far as having to do something special, or that, man, you do the same thing you would do. You do the same thing that white men do, Asian men do, and Latino men do. All right.
Bernard, may I add just a little
Go ahead.
follow up to this? Because so the question was asked, right? Now, there's been a background, as you've already kind of highlighted, Bernard, of TPOT, Xavier saying, oh, game recognized game, that they recognize competence, that I had a reputation and I built it this way and I solved this problem that way, blah, blah, blah. So let's, as they say, steel man their argument, though, because if somebody's saying, what's the red tape and the obstacles you face, perhaps you're skating over, and I'm not accusing you, Xavier, I do it too. I do too. In other words, like, I just skate over problems. You know what I mean? Like, in terms of talking about it. Just like, oh, yeah, that happened, whatever. You skated over an issue, which some people in the most snowflake way may call microaggression, right? But let's say it's, it starts from microaggression all the way to it's a real something. You talked about the mouth drop example. So there's the microaggression. There's finding workers even. This is even slightly different from the, whatever racist or tribal, whatever it may be. Just be people problems in terms of how do you find people and keep them? How do you find trustworthy people? How do you deal with the grit in hard times? Because you talked about the hard times. You said things were rough, but you did not talk about the particulars of the problems and how you were able to pivot and move. And I think that if you elaborate upon those a little bit, even though I know it's difficult, because I think I know your type, you're not going to be thinking that you don't even want to even talk about the nitty gritty of the bobbing and weaving you had to do, but maybe a little bit of it with regards to, again, this microaggression stuff, and also selling, pounding the pavement, also the grit in the hard times, and finding workers, the problems, and how you were able to sidestep them, such that now you just focus on, I'm competent, I have a reputation, game recognized game, they will have to work with me because they want their job done right anyways. Yeah, take it.
Oh, so what you're asking me is, how does the white power structure work its way into what I do for a living?
How do you how do you overcome all the problems that you may face, just regular problems? That way it gives people more context. That way you're not just saying, oh, I just alpha my way through it, because I think that there is, I know I'm guilty of that, when I don't talk about how I actually overcome the problems, right?
Yeah, well, I overcome it like this, right? I'm a true believer. Now, don't get me wrong, and I know people have accused me. Oh, X, you don't think white supremacy exists? You don't think the white power structure has any effect on us? That's not true, brothers. That's not true. But what I do is I use that stuff as a motivator, because I bid, right? We have to bid on contracts, right? Where I have to go to these freaking meeting halls and, put on a nice jacket or a suit, go in there and, pitch my stuff. And 9 times out of 10, I'm the only the brother in there, all right? And I know the white boys are probably, more likely to get that contract or win that bid. I understand that stuff. And the way I work around that, Brother Ike and Brother Bernard, is what I do is I try to show people a better product, all right? Because I can't stop them from seeing me as a black guy. There's no way to do that, all right? There's no way to come in there and not be a black man. That's impossible, all right? So, I mean, it's not so much of using the color of my skin, all right, as a deficit. I use that shit as an asset, man. I don't let my skin color be.
You
a
are
damn
in a
liability.
field where there's no bullshit, and this is what I always say about it. There's certain fields where there's reality, and in certain fields where there can be bullshit. The closer towards politics and bullshit and macroeconomics and nonsense and marketing you get, the more you can fake stuff. But you cannot fake a good weld, my friend. We're like, weld these pipes together. Like when you see that nice weld come out, looks clean and beautiful. That's the end of the story. I want a good weld. I don't care if you're black, brown, blue, or whatever. I don't like the weld is the product I want. So things of this nature, whether they be in the hard sciences or in terms of the trades or construction and so on and so forth, or even your dentist or your surgeon, those are places where there is no BS. When it's skill based and it's result based, you go in there and game will recognize game. I know I cut you off, but go ahead with how you solve the problems, right?
Yeah, I mean you're exactly right, brother Ike. I mean, we live in a no BS market. All right. I mean, what I do for a living, you either know how to do it or you don't. All right. There's no fudging it. All right. If you're designing a system, you got somebody coming to you, and they got two bulldozers that they want to make have more power. All right. You design that system and you install it and it works. That's it. It works. All right. It doesn't matter that a black man did it or a yellow man did it or a man from Mars did it. All right. They did it. It works. It does what it's supposed to do. That's it. And I'm pretty sure if a Martian did it and they like what you did, they liked your engineering, your installing, and they like how you, when they call you, you're there that next day to repair or maintain something. Guess what? When someone comes around, when Brother Bernard has Brother Ike come over and Brother Bernard talks about this Martian that worked on his stuff, I'm pretty sure Brother Ike's going to give that Martian a call. He doesn't care that he's a Martian. So when it comes to that, right, the first thing you do is you prove yourself. When you get the first time dealing with any type of customer, the first thing you're pretty much doing is proving yourself, right? So you prove yourself and you do the work right, right? And even if they're the most rednecky, you know what I mean when I say rednecky, all right? If they're redneckish and you come there and you do what you're supposed to do, you know what that redneck's going to do? If he doesn't like black folks, what he's going to do when he talks to his other business associate, he's going to be like, well, there's a black fella who's pretty damn good at this. Now, he is black, but he's pretty damn good. That's how it works in this field. I let people know off top, all right? I say again, the color of my skin is not a liability. It's an asset because this is a white boy sport. And I make sure and I go in there and I make sure I show people examples of what we do. I will show people spec work. I will show people pictures. I will show people video. And I'll be like, we did this. We did that. We have this contract. We've been subcontracted by the city to do X, Y, and Z. That's how I get over all that crazy red tape, all that crazy, oh, you're black, so we may not trust you around our facility. That's how I get past all of that crap, man. I'm never gonna let my color hold me back, man. I mean, I've never done that. I've never been the person, oh, I'm black, so I can't do it. No.
Right on. Sick Lid in the building with the $10 super chat. Appreciate you. Shout out to Sick Lid. He says, Bro X, I know my way around a dinner plate. Do you do any on the job training? We already covered the on the job training part earlier in the stream. But yeah, he does I think minimal on the job training, but it's like it's basics, basic fundamentals that you got to already know when you show up.
Yeah, you got to come in with that.
But yeah, when you say you got to know your way around a toolbox, he said he knows his way around a dinner plate. That's funny. But there I said it came back with another one. He says, LOLBR, I understand defeated mindset. I'm not promoting that, but I speak from experience. X damn well knows extra red tape exists at this level. But you said red tape, basically you said as a brother, So when you're talking about red tape, as a brother X did say that it comes down to the same contracts, the same thing that he has to do in terms of any legalistic bureaucratic way. Everybody has to do the same thing. There's no separate way of I forgot exactly how he worded it, but there's no separate line he has to stand in when it comes to getting contracts. I mean, it's so that's where I'm at with it. Put it like this: I had this conversation with somebody. He was talking about, the system of white supremacy and how they hold us back. And he was like, yeah, we open restaurants. They can shut our restaurants down. They could come in there and say, hey, if they not up to health code, they can shut it down. And I'm like, okay, was the restaurant up to code? It would. And he argued that, well, they don't do that for white restaurants. So when they come in there and they check in and making sure that they're not that they're meeting the health standards. You're telling me that they're laxing on the health standards with white restaurants and white communities so they can give food poisoning to all all the local white people.
Yeah.
You're telling me they're relaxing on the health standards, but they're bending over backwards to make sure that black restaurants are meeting all the health standards.
Yeah, giving it the white glove test.
Yeah, so no, so they're letting fellow white restaurant owners poison white citizens because they don't want to shut down that white business. Like, no, come on, man. It's
No,
like
let me be the devil's advocate here, just to put that pushback that they're saying, in terms of like, oh, they're giving the white man or they're giving this person a pass. It does exist, right? That you may not have the special kind of treatment. You may not be able to get away with certain kinds of things that someone else can. In other words, you need to understand in any particular endeavor with any particular group of people or institution, how much clout do you have, right? How much can you call, Becky and just get, just pass me through the process. My paperwork's already done, that, blah, blah, blah. In other words,
yeah, that's
and
the
this,
thing.
yeah, it varies from place to place. So what I'm saying is, this is a thing, but how you get over it, it's not by punching in some strange air fight with the cabal that is keeping you down. It is okay over here. I don't have clout. How do I get clout here? What is the clout mechanism? It's different in different places. Okay.
X talked about that clout. He said that he when he got some government contracts, he's shown the work. He can pull it out.
That kind of exactly. So I'm just saying, I'm trying to, when I say devil's advocate, I was trying to kind of elaborate the nitty gritty, the actual reality, the social dynamics of what they're saying, rather than painting it in terms of white man, black man, bureaucracy type stuff. It's just clout in different places. And that happens. Just deal with the clout in each situation based on the rules of that lane, right?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, as long as I've been doing this, brothers, I have a whole arsenal of stuff that I can bring to a bid. I mean, I can show you. I'm going to convince you. The only way you're going to beat me out is if you offer a lower price. I've had people that have offered lower prices and they see what I have, because I come with my iPad and show you videos. I will come and show you old contracts that I finished. I will show you pictures of me, with the county clerk. I'm coming with all that. I'm coming with stuff, past jobs we've done, jobs that we're in the process of working on now. I come loaded for bear. All right. So, I beat guys out who have underbidded me because they've looked at our work and say, hey, we want this guy. Hey, he's a little pricey, but we want this guy.
Let me ask you about that price thing. Have you ever
Right.
used price, or how often do you use price as a weapon here? Because you're talking about all these different weapons that you come in with and so on and so forth. You show them, you come both guns blazing. Now, when it comes to price, have you had to like, oh, let me get into a particular industry, or let me get in with this particular conglomerate of clients or whatever it may be. I'm going to kind of charge them under a little bit for this particular one, test out job, and then I may balloon it from there. And
Yes.
okay. Then, so that plus also, how much risk taking do you do in terms of like, okay, I'm going to go into a particular place where I'm not the particular expert in this kind of thing, but we're going to learn, we're going to ramp up, we're going to pivot, we're going to change. If you can give one example of that. So number one, how you tend to use price to win, to get in, and then also how much risk do you take in terms of expanding the envelope, going after jobs that you may not be experts at? You know, you scratch your head like, I think I get it, but I'm going to bid it anyways. I'll figure it out.
Well, like I said, we also do hardscapes, and because when it comes to this mechanical stuff, it's not too much I haven't seen. Um, Hardscapes are something that I did with my father a long time ago. I'm getting back into it now in the last year or two. So I'm not too familiar with every aspect of it, but I will go in and I will underbid. I will cut throats to get the work. Um, when it comes to expanding, though, I usually make the money up on the back end, and I'll tell you what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
I'll come in and I'll underbid a price. Fine, I'll underbid it. Yeah, and I might even take a little bit of a loss in the beginning, but it'll come back through on the back end. Why? Because what I'll do is I'll take one of our signs after we get it done and I'll stick it. I'll stick it on their front lawn. All right, when I'm done. Right, and now the people in that neighborhood see me. They see my sign, and they give me a call, or I get a referral. All right. I get a referral from that particular person. And now the price changes. Even if they ask me, even if they say, well, you did it for this guy for this price, I say, yes, that was complimentary. And why I say that is because I say I did it for a cheaper price because they allowed me to market by having my sign on their front lawn for 6 months. I use that as the excuse to charge the next person more. Because if they say, well, you did it for him for 4,000, you want to charge me 6. I say, yes, but that $2,000, that's the marketing. I took that price because he's going to let me have my sign on his front lawn. And even if that person says, well, I'm willing to do that too. Fine. You do it too. But for you, I'm only going to take off 1,000. I'll take off 1,000 for you. But if you refer people to me, I will give you 20% off the maintenance when we come around.
I hope people hear what you're saying. Okay. I hope people hear what you're saying, because a lot of times people talk about the power of reputation, the power of word of mouth, but it is an engine that you can, an instrument that you can play, right? You can actively tell people about putting a sign in their lawn. You mentioned before earlier that, I drop stacks of cards. I leave things there. I'm going to leave.
You got to pee on the tree.
Going to pee on every tree. Going to pee on every tree, every light pole, fire hydrant, peeing on everything. So asking, okay, if I can do this for you, take off 1,000, but if you give me another referral, blah, blah, blah. In other words, you can work this engine as powerful as it is. You just put in a little bit of effort into it, I think goes a long way. So, that great answer there. And with regards to risk, I don't know if you got to that in terms of you taking on things that you have never done before, right?
I don't think there's anything we've taken on that we haven't, done before that I don't know. This has happened though. I have sent my guys to a job and they get there and they may not know what's happening. So now I have to come. I've had those instances, because I say again, my guys, they're technicians, they're not engineers. I've had that happen on occasion where my guys, kind of get stuck with something and they call me and I got to drop what the hell I'm doing. And I may be the 40-minute drive away. Now I got to stop what I'm doing and go all the way over there and see what the hell they got. Especially when it's a newer customer. I don't want them to cut us off because, we got guys there that don't know what the hell they're doing. And they know enough to get on the phone and call me and be like, hey, boss man, this kind of rough. You might need to come over here. So, there is that. But far as things that we've never done before, at this stage in this business, nah. I mean, there's not too much. I've had some things that were pretty tricky that kind of had me perplexed. Yes, I've had some systems where I have to keep changing things in and out because one thing's not working. A pulley may be too big, a pulley may be too small, that kind of thing. But far as, when it comes to this mechanic and stuff, man, even when it comes to the engineering part of it, I've been doing it so long, man. I do it in my sleep. I've been
Can you
doing
give
this
some
so
advice
long.
to? You mentioned that these guys are technicians, not engineers. You know, generally speaking, people know the difference between that. A technician knows can do the things more and is focused on the doing of the things. While an engineer may also indeed also have a principle understanding so that they can shift things, shift variables, like and are better at troubleshooting. But advice to engineers, which is basically this, and I want you to see if you agree, or the better technician you are, the better engineer you're going to be. In other
Yep.
words, the,
Yep.
the the rocket fuel of engineering, that you want to be the superstar engineer, is become a better technician. I don't know. Go ahead,
Oh,
take it.
absolutely. That's where I started. I mean, I started as a technician, and technically, I still am. Because guess what? I'm still turning wrenches out there. All right.
Mhm.
It's not like I just like I said, just sit back and design all day. I mean, designing and spec work and measurements and calculating. That's maybe, I don't know, 30% of what we do. I mean, the bulk of our business is installation,
Mhm.
maintenance, repair, modification, metal fabrication, welding. I mean, that's the bulk of our business. The design part is small. It's like 20, thirty
Mhm.
percent man. That's not the bulk of what we do. 'Cause like I said, I'm still turning wrenches. So technically I'm still a mechanic too. All right. I mean, in the beginning, I was doing everything anyway. I was doing estimates. All right. I was billing jobs. I was doing the work. All right. Doing the pickups, doing the drop offs, doing the deliveries. Got me and my niece and nephew handing out flyers. I was everything. So, you know, you become a better engineer, just like brother Ike said, when you're one of those hand-on guys who know how to operate systems, who knows how to install systems. As an engineer, you just have a better eye on things that have gone wrong. You can come in and look at things like immediately, be like, oh, that's wrong. That's 2 inches off. That's 5 inches off. That belt's too short. That pulley's too big. You can kind of do that for the most part. You can come right in and you look at it and you can see something wrong with that system probably quicker than your technicians can, because you have a design kind of mind. You got all these figures and facts and drawings just floating around in your head all the time. So yeah, you have all that crap floating around in your head all the time. So when you walk up on a scene, man, and you look at something, you're gonna know what's wrong. I can listen. I can listen to a system run sometime and tell you that the valves are bad. I can listen to things. I can listen to machinery, man, and tell you what's wrong with it. Now, my tech guys probably aren't that great. Now, if I tell them, look, take the head off of this thing, man, and pull those pistons out and rebore it. Now they can jump in there and do that, just like I can jump in there and do that. But they may not necessarily be able to listen and know that that's the problem. That's the difference when you talk about. But like I said, I'm a technician too.
Mhm.
I say I used to be. No, I'm not. I still am, because I'm still turning wrenches. All right.
Mhm.
I'm still modifying. I'm still welding. All right. I'm still doing metal fabrication. I'm with these guys. I'm with my guys. It's not like I'm just some guy walking around with a clipboard all the time. I mean, that's not my life. It's part of it. It's part of the business, but it's not most of the business. I'm out there turning wrenches too. I ain't just taking measurements. All right. I'm also taking bolts off. All right. I'm also yanking engines out. All right. With an engine lifter. All right. I'm underneath machines. I'm doing troubleshooting. I'm doing diagnostic work. All right. Along with calculating how far I can take this engine and move it to the back of a system. All right. I'm calculating how long the belts have to be. I'm calculating whether or not I have to change these hydraulic pumps, change these belts on it. I'm calculating how much room I'm going to need because they may have a 25 horsepower engine that they want to put a 35 horsepower engine on. So guess what? I got to calculate how much space I need, how much distance I need, the depth of the drive shaft. I'm calculating that stuff. But as I'm doing that, guess what? Guess what? I'm probably going to be out there with my guys installing it too. I'm probably going to be out there doing some welding too, attaching some belts too. I mean, it's all part of it. I said, man, I'm a blue collar guy. Now, people don't think, oh, you're not blue collar. Yes, the hell I am. If you saw me on a day-to-day basis, there would be no mistaking that I'm a blue collar guy. Because when you see me most of the time, at least 3 days out the week, I'm covered with grease, oil, sand, dirt. I got wood chips in my hair. All that's going on. All of that's going on. I'm a blue collar dude, man, through and through. No doubt about it, man.
Mm-hmm. Have you ever thought about taking it to, I don't want to just say taking it to the next level, but as far as you growing it even more, multiple locations, trying to look at Ike, trying to trying to expand out a new territory, growing it to, you understand what I'm saying? Like
yes.
getting it to the point to where, okay, I'm running this business. This is going good. I know it's making me X amount of dollars. Let me try to expand this out. Let me try to have 2 locations, 2 shops, 2 whole operations going on where does, however many miles out, some separation between them, because obviously you don't want to be competing with yourself. So have you ever thought about the possibility of, even though in some ways competing with yourself is not bad,
Yeah.
but have you ever thought about doing that?
Well,
Are you even close to that, to being even able to do something like that?
well, it's good that you asked that because I'm going to have to do that. I'm going to have to, number one, have a separate operation because of the see this is what happened last month, because I have a guy that I know. I've known him since I've been down here in 2014. He had a pretty good size, pretty decent size landscape hardscape business, and he's getting ready to move to Texas. So what he did is he gave like all the contracts to me. That's how we got into the landscape hardscape thing. So now I have a lot of extra equipment that needs to be stored, extra machinery. I'm going to have to expand. It's not even if at this point. It's when I have to do it. I'm looking for a bigger building as we speak. Um, I've done the cost analysis. I think I can swing it. If I can't swing it this season, definitely the top of next season, because I want to go big. I want my building to be the size of like a Firestone, or a Meineke or Midas. I mean, that's where I'm headed. That's where I want to be headed. And like I said, I have to do it at this point. There's no, oh, I'm going to do it if I can. No. I have to because the amount of stuff that I have. We also have 2 commercial cleaning accounts that we do because that came with the hardscape thing. So, I have to do it. I want to do it this year. I was targeting maybe doing it by August or September, but that may or may not be feasible because there's so much other crap going on right now. There's a lot of crap, but next year I'm going to have to do it. If I don't do it by say August, September this year, I'm going to have to do it next year because I have so much crap. A lot of the stuff I'm keeping at the shop, at the house right now, and that's not working. Yeah, that's not working out. There's too much stuff. It is just too much stuff, man. Too much stuff. So I'm going to have to go ahead and try to get a bigger building, man. And I want something big. I told you I want my business to be as big as Meineke or Firestone or whoever, because there's a lot of shops. There's John Deere is here. Husqvarna is here. And I want to be here too. I want to be on that bigger scale because I know that number one, I'm better than every mechanic they have down there. Number two, I know my guys are better mechanics than the mechanics they have down there. All right. And how do I know? Because a lot of people that come to us, they come to us and they say, hey, man, I need my stuff modified. I need something welded. I need more power. I need more torque. I need more RPMs on this machine. I took it down to Husqvarna, and they've had it for a month already, and they've done nothing. And I tell them, go get it. Bring it here. And they get it, and they bring it here. We have their machine back to them in a week. So I know we can do this. I know we can. I know we can do it. We're going to do it. We're going to do it. If not by the fall of this year, definitely. Spring of next year, we going. And brother Ike talk about risk. That would be a colossal risk. All right. First and foremost, the amount of money I would have to lay down, getting the building to the way I want it, having a certain thing. And I'll tell you this, a lot of, especially when you're talking about power mechanics, which is a big part of what we do. A lot of those shops, right, don't have a quote unquote parts element to their shop. You bring your stuff in there. If it can be fixed right then and there, they'll fix it for you within the next 30 days or something like that. Me, I don't operate like that. I have parts on hand because I buy my parts in bulk. Number one, you always have them on hand. Number two, they're a lot cheaper when you buy them in bulk, especially when you're talking about rectifiers, starters, hydraulic pumps. I'll buy that stuff by bulk. All right. I don't buy it as needed. And a lot of these places here, they buy it as needed. If they need a hydraulic pump, they'll order it and, they'll fix it whenever it gets in there. I want to have my own.
Using business lines of credit for this kind of upfront type purchases in bulk?
Well, I have.
Or you just got a bunch of cash?
No, I put it on the American Express. I use the American Express for the business stuff only. That's the only time I use that card. All right. Because I'm not much of a credit card guy. All right. That's more my wife thing. She got 55 credit cards. Me, I'm different. I have one Visa and I have one American Express. And my American Express, I only use for business related stuff. I don't use it for anything else. That's it. So I buy my stuff by the bulk because, see, like I said, I like to have plenty of it on hand. And not only that, you buy by bulk, it's cheaper. Instead of spending $600 on a hydraulic pump, I'll buy 6 hydraulic pumps. And if I buy 6 of them, they give them to me for $300. You understand? So I'm saving all kinds of money just by buying it by bulk as opposed to just buying, as needed. And that's what a lot of shops do here in North Carolina. They buy it as needed. Me, I try to have it on hand. So what I want inside the building is a parts, a department that's totally devoted to just parts alone. All right. Forget the repair, forget the engineering. You can come in and buy parts. Even other engineers can come in and buy stuff if they need it. All right. It's not like it's just going to be for us. Other engineers can come in and buy parts, at an inflated rate, of course. They can come in and buy parts from us as well. So we're not just willing to supply our own mechanics and engineers and repair guys and technicians and mechanics with stuff. If you fall short on parts, just come see X. I got you. You can come and buy your stuff that you need from me. And I think that will not only create a different, more revenue stream, It will also build more relationships because guess what? Yep, those mechanics and engineers can come and buy their parts from me as well. So that's got to be figured in. So it has to, it all has to work out. I know it sounds, like I'm all over the place, y'all, but
Oh,
this is how I
no,
got to do it.
no, 100%. I think that you're addressing every issue as it comes along, and I think that you gave broad sweeps before, and now we're going into these particulars. When you talk about peeing on every tree, we went into what exactly that means. You bring pictures, you bring testimonials, you bring this, that, or the other. You carry cards, you do this. I mean, I think that you're really laying it down. Now, there's something here. Speaking of X, Wizard X over here. Thank you for the $2 super chat. He said something about the conglomerate. I think when you were talking about expansion and being like the Midases and so on and so forth, is this something that would be in your mind in terms of conglomerate or franchise or even just in other words scaling the F up? What do you think about that?
Yeah, I want to do that.
Or you leave that to your son. You're like, you take care of that part. I'm out of here.
Well, I plan on leaving my business to my grandson. Because my sons, they're not interested in it. My oldest son, he's an electrical engineer. My youngest son is a carpenter. He's like a master carpenter. So they don't, they're not too interested. And I've been trying to get them down here for years to help the old man out. And Pop, we don't want to. So, but my grandson is interested in this stuff. He's interested in the motors and stuff like that. Knows his way around a toolbox for a young fella. He just turned 12. He's interested in it. So I guess he'll be getting it. If he wants it, he may not want it either once he gets a certain age. I don't know. But yeah, I want it to be big. I want to keep growing it. I don't want it to plateau at all, man. I want to be out there. I want you to see my sign out there when you on that highway. I want you to see that big sign flashing. Even when the business is closed, I say, you know what? I know that. I know the guy who owns that. And he has one in South Carolina. He has one in Virginia. He has one in North Carolina. I mean, that's where I want to go.
So Xavier, okay, let's go there, okay? What gives you the brass balls? What gives you the audacity to say that? What gets you up and whips you into shape, or you whipping yourself into shape in order to, as you say, wake your black ass up and get ish done? And again, my saying, kill that inner biatch inside every morning and go. Where does this audacity come from? Anything to say about that, generally speaking?
Because I've always been a very confident, outspoken kind of dude ever since I was younger. If I was a little wiser, I would have started this thing, man, 20 years ago instead of 7 years ago. Yeah, I wish I had. I think I'm in competition with myself because, see, I'm trying to catch up. I'm trying to get it to a point to where it would have been if I'd have started 20 years ago, if you can understand what I'm saying. I'm in competition with my 30-year-old self right now. Like, if I would have done it, when I was 30, it would be here. So I got to get it there. That's what drives me, man. Because I feel like I wasted a lot of time. I feel like I wasted 13 years. So I'm trying to catch up on those 13 years. That's what gets me up in the morning. That's what makes me want to expand. That's what makes me want to not only have a business that I can leave after I'm dead to my descendants, but a business that will give brothers a chance, all right? Even when other people will not. That's a big thing with me. I've told Brother Bernard about this, and he talked about it. When brothers come to me and they say they need work, I have the resources and the apparatus to do background checks on people. I don't. I don't care, how much crack you used to sell or how much time you did in jail. I don't care about any of that crap. What I care about is if you could show your black ass up to this shop, do the job that I pay you to do, know your way around this toolbox, know your way around this mechanical system, follow instructions, and be a decent human being when it comes to customer relations. If you have those skills, I don't care how much time you did. I don't care how much crack you used to sell. I don't care if you from the hood. I don't care about any of that crap. It's irrelevant to me. It's irrelevant. I'm concerned about you bringing your black ass to that shop, doing what needs to be done to get this job done, be an asset to my damn business. And guess what? If you become that, you will slowly find yourself moving up in this damn company. And if you're a young guy, you might find yourself a part of this company long after I'm dead. Because my good dudes, I want them to stay. I want them to stay even after I'm gone. Because they have shown me, they have shown and proved that they are good for this business. I don't want them to go anywhere.
Let me reiterate and have a quick kind of follow-up question. So basically just restating what you said, you've always had a big mouth, right? You've always been confident. Now you're trying to catch up to that big mouth, and you said something that is very important, which is the regret that you have is not starting sooner. And people always say this, generally speaking. And in management, when you like look at you CEOs of type, you're just the management type, not necessarily the starter types or the technician type or whatever. Just a manager will always tell you that most of their regrets have to do with not doing something quicker. Either firing somebody quicker, you should have fired him sooner. You should have started this sooner. Like quick, just do things quicker. And then there was the start now aspect of it, right? Which is, do you have something would you want to expound upon that, right? Because it's something that I think that people don't tend to understand the relevance of. Like, there is no perfect time, right? There is no time when you're ready, right? So you just got to do it now, whatever it may be. And then there is no limit because, you got a big mouth and you got to catch up. But can you say something about that starting now and as opposed to waiting?
I know a lot of people want to, I'm pretty sure there's a lot of brothers out there who want to jump out and start a business. And it's not the easiest thing to do. Make no mistake. I know we up here talking about it. Everybody up here is a businessman and all this stuff, but it's not the easiest thing to do. It's not. I mean, Brother Bernard has a business. I'm pretty sure it wasn't easy to get it started. He didn't just wake up one day and, okay, I'm going to open a business today. I mean, it doesn't work like that. The reason why I didn't do it, say 20 years ago, as opposed to 7 years ago, because number one, the money wasn't there. The time wasn't there. There was some fear and apprehension as well. I didn't want to take the leap. My children were small. When you have small children, that steady paycheck, you kind of, you want that coming in when you got little kids. And I had a few of them. So, I couldn't just jump out and take the risk, because what if it flops? What if something happens? I got these little folks to feed, and the house and the clothes, and make sure the lights is on and the water's running, and so I did what I did because 7 years ago, by that time my youngest kid was 16. Yeah, she was 16. Everybody else was grown. So, I could do it. It was the right time. Before that, the time wasn't right. Like I said, the money wasn't there, the time wasn't there, the opportunity wasn't there. All of these things have to be taken into consideration when you start a business, because a lot of businesses fail in the first 1 to 3 years. A lot of them do. My dad, who ran a business for a lot of years, like 25, 26 years, he told me, he said, that first year, son, it's going to be rough if you want to start a business. Shoot, the old man lied. The first two and a half years, goddamn it, was rough. He said 1 year, like the first two and a half years, boy, was rough, was in the red a lot. But I would tell brothers this: if you think you have what it takes, all right, to start a business, make sure you are sure and have all your ducks in a row. You know, because when you talk about starting a business, you need to, number one, have a plan. You need to understand how much it's going to cost you. You need to understand your market. You need to understand your competition. You need to understand what you're going to need to get started. And you probably want to at least have 80% of that down pat before you get your first contract, your first customer. When it comes to starting a business, you don't want to be freaking building the plane while you flying it. You don't. Because what you're going to do is the first time someone calls you and you come in, you don't have the equipment to do the job or the material to do the job, you're done. You've lost that customer and whatever potential customers will come behind that. That's over. So you don't want to come in half cocked. If you running a business, for instance, if you running a business like we running it, you better make sure you have all your materials and make sure you have all the knowledge to get the job done. All right, make sure you have the knowledge. You don't want to start off with a business and not fully have great understanding. Like I said, at least 80 to 90% of the knowledge of the business, because you screw that first customer up, you done lost that person and whatever potential revenue or customers or patronage that comes behind that. So all of that stuff counts. And far as the start now piece goes, don't start now if you're not completely ready. If you're ready,
How do I know when how do I
start
know when I'm
now.
ready? They'll say. How do I know when I'm ready?
You'll know when you're ready when you take an inventory of yourself and you say, well, if I need to do this, do I have the equipment? Do I have the know-how? Do I have the finances? Even if it means, you have to take out a loan or whatever you have to do. You might got the cash on hand. You might be balling out of control. I don't know. You may have $100,000 in a box underneath your bed. I don't know. But if you have the money, if you have the know-how, if you have the skill, if you have the equipment, whether it be enough computers, enough tools, enough materials, enough hammers, enough drills, enough ladders, enough whatever you need, then you might be ready. You might just be ready. Being prepared for all contingencies. That's something my father always talked about. He always says, son, be prepared for whatever contingencies that may come up. If you prepared for say for instance you're a tree guy, right? Say you're a guy who does tree work. There's a lot of guys who do tree work down here. They cut big trees out of your damn yard and what have you.
Mm-hmm.
And you want to start a tree business. So you got all your saws, you got all your ropes, you got the cherry picker truck, you got all that kind of stuff going on. Are you prepared if you cut a branch off of a tree and that tree falls on someone's house or that branch falls on someone's car? Do you have adequate insurance for that? If you do not, even if you have a cherry picker, even if you have a brigade of saws and a bunch of guys, if you don't have insurance that's going to cover whether or not one of them limbs fall on somebody's house or car, don't get into tree work. I don't care how good you are at it. If you don't have the insurance to cover that contingency, don't do it. Because guess what? You may not be planning for that damn branch to fall on someone's BMW, but that is a possibility. So if that happens, you want to be able to say, hey, look, I apologize. My guy, he's stupid. He done messed up. But guess what? My insurance is going to cover the fact that this limb fell on your car. That's what I'm talking about. Any kind of contingency that could possibly be out there that could hurt you or cost you money, you at the very least want to be prepared for these things just in case they happen. It's like having insurance on your car. I mean, You got insurance on your car. You're not having accidents every day, right? You don't drive out and have an accident every day. But just in case you do, you got insurance on the car. You got insurance on the truck. You got insurance on the work vehicles. You got insurance on your wife cars. You have that insurance just in case. And when it comes to starting a business, one thing you need is insurance. And I don't just mean an insurance policy for your business and for contingencies. You need insurance on yourself. You need, like if you're in the tree business, you need more than one saw. All right. You need more than one rope. All right. Because what if this saw breaks down? Now you're done because you only got one. You understand? So you have to have the insurance of the business to keep it going. You have to have extra material. You may need a few extra dollars just in case you have to run out and get something that you don't have on the job site.
How do you do the emotional inventory though? Because you mentioned, okay, you got to take inventory of yourself, and then you mentioned certain externalities. Okay, how about, well, you got to make sure that you can take the internal turmoil, uncertainty, whatever it is that's going to be, in order to get on that journey. Because you did mention fear and apprehension as a reason why you did not start earlier. So you checked all those other things, check. But how do you do the internal emotional inventory?
Emotion.
You snowflaking over there, Ike, talking about emotional inventory.
People are, in fact, not making the move. So let's just be honest. There's reasons why, and it involves that, right?
Like I said, I think one emotion that keeps people from starting something, starting a business, is fear. I mean, like I said, I had fear. I was apprehensive about jumping out there on my own. Even though I knew that I had the skill because I had been doing it for so long for other people. So, of course I could do it for myself, but I think fear stops people. I think that's a big factor. They're afraid they're not going to be able to do it. I thought that way, and it's very important to overcome that fear. Because there's always a chance that you'll fail. I mean, that failure is a possibility. It's not like, it's going to be an automatic success story. I mean, failure is a possibility. And I think people fear failure, but most importantly, right? And I got this from my brother, brother LAR. I think most importantly, I think a lot of brothers fear success. I don't think it's just about fearing failure. I think a lot of us actually fear success because guess what? You become successful, guess what happens? You have to manage things differently now. You got all this business coming in, the money's running in, life is going to be different now. You're going to have to operate different, especially us brothers who come from, the lower socioeconomic plane. You get this business going and things are going great, and you will have you'll be in like somewhat of a state of shock, I would imagine, if you don't have your head screwed on straight. You're the first person to ever do something successful in your family. You're raised up in the project, so you're making all this money. So now you gotta move. You can't continue to live around these Negroes now that you make all this money. You got to get up out of there now. You got all that. Yeah, I'm serious. And people say, "Oh man, you get money and you move out the hood." Isn't that the idea? Like, you can't stay if you're a dude pulling in all this kind of money, right? Like I told you, man, I have like a $15,000 a month payroll, right? So guess what? I bring in too much money to be living in hood some damn where. So why would I move into the projects? Why would I move into the ghetto? That's stupid. And people, oh man, y'all need to come back into the hood and buy property. Why the hell would I have my big old house in the middle of all these unemployed Negroes sitting on their damn porches all day long, watching me go in and out of my house, watching my wife go in and out of the house, watching my grandson go in and out of the house. Why would you put yourself in that predicament? That's why I say what I say. If you start making that money, you're making good money, the first thing you need to do is freaking relocate, man. Get up away from these Negroes who are doing nothing. Why would you stay there? Even if you want to come back and hire some of those dudes, fine, do that. Don't stay in this dump of a freaking environment if you've elevated yourself above that, all right? Because there's no glory in being the richest person in the hood. Trust me, the drug dealers got that market cornered anyway, all right? You got a legitimate business. The money's coming in. The first thing you want to do is get the hell away from Negroes who are not doing anything. And I don't care who don't like that I said it, all right? If you're doing something with your life, get away from the people who are not, all right? Because all they're going to do is drag you down. Because all you're going to do is become a target, all right? That's it. Because guess what? You got it. They don't. It's just a matter of time. If they're not swirling around you like vultures, it's just a matter of time before they plotting on you, like a fox in the woods, how to get their hands on something of yours. So I think that kind of thing stops brothers too. We are a people who, what a lot of people don't know about black folks is that about 70% of us, man, never leave a 50 square mile radius of where we were born. All right? Only about 30% of us get up out of that 50 square mile radius that we're born in.
Does
So,
that say does it say that you never live outside of that 50 mile radius, or you just never leave it?
you never leave it or live outside of it. You're talking 70% of black folks never leave a 50 square mile radius of where they were born. Only about 30% of us, will move to another town, move to another state, move cross country, move to Africa. But only about 30% of us do that, man. The other 70%, right there. They stay right there. And usually where they're born, that's where they die, that's where they work, that's where they, if they do start a business, they start it right within that 50 square mile, whatever. Only about 30% of us, man, actually, get on up out of there, go to another place, do something different. We get out of that 50 square mile freaking bubble, man. I'm telling you, only like 30% of us. That's it.
I like that you're kind of linking the whole fear of success to that purported hood loyalty that people may be saying it's loyalty, but really it's a kind of a fear of success, fear of change, fear of the unknown, fear of the unfamiliar, also linked to this not moving, right? Not moving is a symptom of all these fears that were said or that were pointed out. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. They don't want to, because being, once you achieve a certain amount of monetary success, especially like I said, if you're, if you're from the hood or you're from the ghetto, wherever the hell you're from, you live in the projects, success is going to cause you to get away from these people. You're going to have to be fully successful, I believe, and people give me crap for that too. But you can't stop making all this money and continue to live in this 2-bedroom apartment with your mama and your 5 and 6 brothers and sisters. At the very least, you're gonna move you, mom, and your 5 or 6 brothers and sisters up out of there if you don't just leave out of there yourself. So I think that people, they get so comfortable with a certain point in their life, and they don't want to leave that comfort zone. And sometimes to be successful, you have to leave your comfort zone. To make more money, you have to leave your comfort zone. To start a business, you're going to definitely leave your comfort zone because of the things you're going to have to be responsible for, especially when you go from working for someone then working for yourself. You're gonna be leaving a lot of different comfort zones, not just one. You're gonna leave multiple comfort zones when you start your own business. That's just part of it. And black folks, we're comfortable people. We love being comfortable. That's why we walk around with our pants hanging off our ass and shirts that's two sizes too big, and people down here, they walk around, shoot, man, these dudes down here walk around with flip-flops on all day. You go to the damn supermarket, dude got on flip-flops, with no socks, no, nothing. Walking around in flip-flops all day, pants hanging off his ass, and, you at the supermarket. You go to office buildings sometimes, man. I go down to the county clerk's office sometimes, and there be people in there with their damn flip-flops on, and pajama pants. Like, everybody wants to feel like they just rolled out of bed. Like, they want to feel like they just rolled out of bed all the time, and you got to get out of your comfort zone sometime, man, to do things, I mean, I'm not a suit guy like that. You know what I'm saying? I'm not a suit guy. I have suits, yes, but I wear a suit when I go to bid. I wear a sport coat and slacks and shoes, when I go to bid. But most of the time when you see me, man, I got on a work uniform and steel toe boots. That's how you see me.
Why do you wear the slacks and the sports jacket then when you go to bid? Why don't you just keep it real all the way?
Nope. Because guess what? I would stick out because everybody else in there is dressed like that. You know what I'm saying? I would stick out like a sore thumb, and I want to look the part because I may be a mechanic and a mechanical engineer, but I'm also a businessman.
That's
so
right.
when I come in there, I'm coming in there dressed sharp, hair done, lined up, smelling good, shoes, shiny tie on, clipboard, iPad. I'm coming in there with all of that because, see, I understand that the way you dress is also a form of communication. All right. If I walk in there, even though I'm a business owner that does pretty good, I can't walk in there with my damn wife beater on, jeans hanging off my ass, and a pair of freaking Jordans and a baseball cap. And I'm standing in there with guys that got on 3-piece suits and guys that have $2 and $3 million contracts on the line. Why? I'm not coming in there like that. I'm coming in there just like them. And the only difference from me and them is that I'm black. That's the only difference that you're going to see. Because guess what? I'm in there to do business too. I'm not just there. I'm there to do business just like everybody else. So I will dress the part. And guess what, folks? Guess what? All you naysayers, it works. It works. That's why I continue to do it, because it works.
Right on. Taylor Anderson in the building. He says, put in the work, brothers. I went from hospital security, psych tech, registered nurse, DPN, CRNA. If school isn't your thing, learn a trade. Shout out to you. Alonzo Hall, the all-star advisor. Can you speak to the difference of self-employment and being a business owner? But before you speak to that, we're about to wrap it up pretty soon. Ike, I assume you still got your same meeting that you normally do at
it's at 15 this time, but it's still on.
Okay, that's still on. So yeah, we're definitely about to wrap this bad boy up pretty soon. But you can go ahead, brother Xavier, and answer the question from Alonzo Hall.
Brother Alonzo, that's easy. And I'll answer it anecdotally. When you work for people tell you what to do. When you work for yourself, they ask you. If you work for somebody like, X is, I need this thing done by Friday. I need this thing done by Thursday. When you work for yourself, they ask you, X, is it going to be done by Friday? Nope. Monday. Okay. See, when you work for someone, you can't say, nope, can't do it. Nope, can't do it. So that's what I mean when I say when you work for someone else, people tell you. When you work for yourself, people ask you. That is the biggest difference that I can say to you, brother.
May I point
Alonzo.
out something in the question? Because he says self-employment and then business owner. So what is it? What's the difference between just you put your shingle up and you're doing
Mm-hmm.
the work out of your garage and it's just you,
Mm-hmm.
right? Versus you now have all this inventory and men and insurance and this and that and the other, all these moving parts that you're managing. What's the difference between I just got a nice job where I am employing myself and I got a nice paycheck versus I have this big pipeline now that I'm responsible for. Let's say it's $40,000 a month, as you mentioned earlier, right? What's the difference between those two things?
Well, when you talk about self-employment as opposed to being a business owner, self-employment is just you. For the most part, most people who are self-employed, it's just them. You're pretty much doing everything. You don't really have other people on the payroll. You're just paying yourself. Now, there's nothing wrong, right? There's nothing wrong with there's nothing wrong with self-employment because in the beginning, I was self-employed in the beginning. Um, it's lucrative, but it's like I say again, it's just you. So you're doing most of the work. You're not employing anybody else but yourself. So
Can't go on vacation.
nope, you can't do anything, because you're so knee deep into everything. Um, once you are a business owner, it takes on a different kind of life because see, you're responsible for other people. You have other people underneath you. You have other people doing things for you. You have other people you're responsible for. You have other people under your insurance. You have other people driving your vehicles, using your tools, running your shop, dealing with customers. Things that you do, things that you normally would do just yourself. You have other people who are responsible for some of these things. Um, you're more you're responsible for more things when you own the business. You're more responsible, and believe it or not, there's less room for error. When you're self-employed, you have a tendency to make a lot of mistakes. You know, things go wrong. Once you start bringing other people in, once you start bringing other people under the tent, you're kind of more aware. You're more aware of what needs to be done, and you can kind of preempt a lot of the damn nonsense that you normally would have dealt with when you were by yourself, because you learn from your mistakes and your bad decisions. At least you're supposed to. And once you own the business, you're better at preempting bad decisions and mistakes. I think that's the biggest difference. Um, and likewise, like I said earlier, when you're self-employed and it's just you have a different level of respect once you own the business. Because if you're self-employed, you kind of show up by yourself, and people have a tendency to not take you as seriously. To be
Yeah.
honest, they don't take you as seriously. Uh, when you come up and they know you got guys and they call you up, and your guys show up and not you. They know that this is legitimate. This isn't some shade tree operation that you just doing out of your backyard. They know that this is legit. Your name is on the truck. Your name is on the shirts that the guys have on. So there is a difference. I don't think that I don't think that the money thing is that much difference. depending on depending on what you're doing, because I know some people who are self-employed, man, and they make good money. They make pretty good money. Just like I know people who own businesses and their businesses went down the toilet, during COVID. So I don't think that it's so much of the money. Excuse me. I don't think it's so much of the money. I think it's so much of the perception, and like brother Dane says, you can control your work hours, when you're self-employed. When you own the business, maybe not so much, because see, a lot of stuff comes up because see, you are responsible for other people. So you got other people out there doing X, Y, and Z. So you're not just accountable for what you do, you're also accountable for what they do. If they run the truck, into the side of somebody's building, or they break a glass door, or they do something wrong, or they have they have a back and forth with one of your customers, you're accountable for those people. You're not just accountable for you now, you're accountable for other people too. So it's a lot more responsibility. When you're self-employed, you're just accountable for you and what you do, and whatever you're responsible for, that's it. When you're a business owner, you have other people underneath the tent. Guess what? All those people out there freaking represent you. All of them, because when they screw up, like I said, your phone rings. All right. And you always got to be hoping that it doesn't. When my phone ring, I get worried, especially if I look at one of my guys up. I'm like, oh God, what the hell done happened now? I'm happy when my phone don't ring. When it rings, I know something done went wrong. They done broke something to somebody's. They done wrecked the truck. They done cussed out a customer. They done did something stupid. So, I mean, the owning the business is a lot more responsibility. It's a lot more detailed. You're responsible for a lot more. All right. But guess what? There's benefits in it too. There's perks. All right. There's perks. Like you said, you can go on vacation, especially if you have competent people. You can leave the shop in somebody's hands for a week. Ain't gonna hurt nothing. You might have a few customers who just want you to come around, but you can put them, on hold for a few days and say, hey man, I'm on vacation, I'll be back. Or you can call your guys and say, hey man, go over there and take a look at Joe's machine. He said he got problems over there. He got a leak over there. You can do that. So there's perks, there's responsibilities, there's headaches, but that's all part of the deal, man. It's all part of the deal.
All right. Snuggles trying to hold us hostage while we're trying to get off the air. He's coming with another question. Another question about the importance of reading and comprehending contracts. You got anything on that?
Yeah, no, I think she's paying it forward though. You can make her wait, because she said she would like to see, right, another discussion. So don't give her, like, if she said, hey, she's putting it down now, I'm like, hey, don't hold back on the goods. I don't know.
yeah, we're not gonna answer it. Nothing to answer. Yeah, she said she wants to see something,
we'll talk about that.
Yeah, she want to see something in the future about that. So we don't gotta answer it right now.
Mm-hmm.
That's funny. And we're gonna go with that. But no, I'd like to thank everybody who came here today, who participated. You liked the stream, super chatted, Cash App, did anything to participate. Thank you very much for being a part of this. And brother Xavier came through, dropped a wealth of knowledge on us. Very important stuff. Truly building a business, man.
Do me a favor. Do me a favor before you go. I want you to highlight Gina 789. She says, she says, very informative. I will get frustrated talking to him. He don't answer what's being asked quickly. Me, I have an appointment. Can we please move forward? Boss, Gina, you still on the phone with him? What? I guess this is why you will never be a customer of ours, Lady Gina. But I appreciate the commentary, though.
It was allegedly a joke. It was allegedly a joke. She
No,
said.
it's all good. It's all good. You know, this is YouTube. You know, this is YouTube. So, you know, I don't.
Can I turn her off, please?
Boss Gina. All right. All right. Yeah, we are getting up out of here. Ike got to get to his ever so important meeting. Brother Xavier got to get to. You grilling today?
I'm thinking about it, you know, the freaking grandkids, you know, they want me to shoot off fireworks because, you know, I hoard fireworks. You know, I keep a stockpile of them. So,
You're going to be smoking any cigars? What kind of
oh,
cigars
of
are you
course. Are
smoking?
you kidding me? I will be pumping on Romeo and Juliet the Maduro today, probably more than one. You know, probably drinking a little whiskey, you know, possibly, you know, we're gonna do some grilling, and once it get dark, you know, I'm gonna blow the neighborhood up, you know.
Right on.
That's the
Hold
plan.
on, wait, real quick, Ike. I didn't even think to ask. How did you manage to get that fire to stay lit without setting off your smoke alarm or getting your house on fire? Like, how did you finally figure that out?
Oh, there are a couple of things. There's the desiccator, and also, which is the thing that just sucks fumes away from a place, right? So you put it next to your fire alarm, your smoke detector. And another thing was, you know, the fuel that I'm burning, because it's not a candle per se. But anyways, I just got a cleaner burning alcohol.
Okay, yeah. A lot of y'all don't know the history behind that. Ike almost set his house on fire like three
boy.
times
Uh-oh.
in a stream. Yeah, so he finally
I never gave up though. I didn't give up.
he didn't give up. He finally got that figured out. So all right, y'all. We are out of here. Peace.
Peace, folks.